What's up guys, I'm Tempest, and this is the long-awaited Season 15 Yone guide. If you haven't heard of me, I've been a long-time player since Season 1 and been Challenger every single season since Yone's release, and currently the highest ranked Yone player on the server, and even went to EUS and got Challenger there as well. By the end of watching this guide, you will learn everything there is to know about Yone and how to climb to Challenger yourself. Why should you learn Yone? There's not many champions in League that can literally 1v5 games, especially when it comes to mid laners. But Yone is one of, if not the best 1v9 champ in the game that can carry almost any bad team. He is also a champion that is insanely hard to play and has endless skill ceiling, so if you're the type of player who loves 1v9ing and being the center of attention, then Yone is the champ for you. Now let's talk about Yone's runes. So I made 3 pages for this, but honestly I only use 1 page, which is this one. So this is the main one, and this is the most commonly used one at the moment, which is Lethal Tempo. So yeah, Lethal Tempo I just find the best because it just gives you the most 1v9 carry potential. So this isn't going to be like the strongest in lane, especially into range lanes. Yeah, I just think this is always the play. People always ask me about Fleet, which I'll get to in the next page. But yeah, I just think Lethal Tempo is the best because it just gives you the most 1v9 potential, gives you the most pressure in lane, the pressure in skirmishes, all that. And I think skirmish pressure is like the most important thing in solo queue. And there's just so many times where like you're going to win games because of that one skirmish because you have tempo. And if you have Fleet in that skirmish, you're just going to lose. So in my opinion, 100% of the time, you should take tempo. And then for our secondary, or for the rest of the runes, we have Absorb Life. A lot of people call this rune completely useless, but I mean, I disagree. I think Triumph is actually more useless because you don't really use this in lane at all. And the thing that's really bad about Yone is his laning phase. His laning phase is by far his weakest point in the game. So if I could take anything to make my laning phase stronger, I'm going to do it, especially in high elo. Like maybe if you're playing in lower elo where like people are like not that good at laning, Triumph is just going to give you more value because they're noobs. You're going to get more gold and it's good. Like it scales better, right? So I could see it in that sense, but the higher elo you go, definitely would take Absorb Life. It's just more consistent, and consistency is just important. And then for the second rune, always Alacrity. I've had so many people tell me like, yo, Bloodline, it scales better, but it's like, dude, again, Yone is a champion that already scales insanely well. So as long as you get through the early game, you're probably gonna win the game anyway, you know? So don't take this rune. This is one of the worst runes in the game. There's absolutely nothing early. It takes so long to stack. So again, take the runes that will make you stronger early game. And now this gets us to our last rune, which is Cut Down. So again, a lot of people say, hey, Last Stand is better, it scales better, but Cut Down is just going to give you more pressure in the laning phase. When you're under your turret and you finally get to do a trade, Cut Down is going to give you the most power, you know, early game in lane. So Cut Down, in my opinion, is the best and currently has the most pick rate, I'm pretty sure. Okay, now for secondary runes, always going to be Resolve second, but it's not always going to be the same, right? So I wouldn't go near this top row. I don't think it's really worth it. I think these bottom 2 runes are really, really good. Always Overgrowth. Overgrowth is just a really OP rune. Gives you like 200, 300 HP later on in the game, which I know I said taking scaling isn't that good, but for Yone, HP is like really important because they already have enough damage. So scaling with HP is really, really nice. So I would always take Overgrowth. And for our last 2 runes, never take Conditioning because yeah, scaling, if you're getting to 12 minutes, probably going to win the game anyway. So we want something for laning phase. If you're against range, you're going to take Second Wind. You're against like that Azir, Victor, you're going to take Second Wind. If you're against melee champs like Fizz, Renekton, you're going to take Bone Plating. So nothing's really changed with the runes ever since they added back Lethal Tempo. So yeah, this is what I would take 100% of the time. I just think it's too good. Lethal Tempo is just too broken of a rune. Most 1v9 potential. And for the smaller runes, attack speed always, AD, and this one, people I feel like a lot of people, I used to take HP scaling, but this is actually pretty bad. Again, in lower elos, you can get away with HP scaling, but at the highest of elos, when the early laning phase, you have to trade a lot to like have pressure for your jungle, having this flat HP early is just going to help you a lot. So yeah, I would opt in for the flat health. If you have a really easy lane, like let's say you're against an Aurelion Sol, you could definitely agree and take the scaling HP. It's completely fine. But yeah, this is the rune page I would recommend 100% of the time. But if there's some Lethal Tempo haters and you don't like it, we can go to the second page, which I would say this is just the safest option, but I'm the biggest Fleet hater out there. I'm gonna be honest, like this rune, it just sucks. Like it will give you no carry potential at all. It's just gonna let you sit in that corner, get hit by every ability, and you're gonna go even. So yeah. But in my opinion, this just builds terrible habits because you're just going to get hit by every single ability and just out-sustain people, but you're going to have no carry potential. So people say like, I see all the time, you're like, oh, if you're a noob, take this. But like, in my opinion, taking this rune isn't going to teach you anything. So I would opt in for a lethal tempo. It's going to be a little bit harder, but in my opinion, lethal tempo actually is better in lane than fleet, just because a good offense is a good defense, right? And lethal tempo gives you that. So if you're actually trading efficiently on every single one of your E's with lethal tempo, it's going to give you more pressure than the healing from fleet. And that's why I think tempo is just 100% always better, even into range lanes. But it's harder to use, right? Because if you're missing those E's, you're missing those all-in potential, you're not getting any value out of lethal tempo. Whereas fleet, you're always going to have value from it. So that's why technically if you're a noob, fleet is safer, but again, get out of your comfort zone, and I would go for the 1v9 potential with tempo. So it's not horrible, it's just you're gonna go even. And our last page, I don't think this is really real anymore. People are going grass quite a bit just because like lethal tempo wasn't really back into the game, but ever since lethal tempo's back, I don't really see it too much. But if you're gonna use this, I would take it into those lanes that are like really short trades you're not going to get any value from. So I just put it into Akali because I can't really think of any other lane other than Akali. But I don't have to worry about that because that's my permanent ban. I hate Akali, very good champion. But yeah, if you're taking this page, you can take Shield Bash or you can take Demolish. So Shield Bash is going to give you more damage in lane, so more offense, and then this is more greedy if you could think you can actually just win without the Shield Bash and get some plating. And then again, gonna go into Precision with Alacrity and Cut Down and the same minor runes. So yeah, these are the runes for Yone in Season 15. Now onto Yone's items. So for the starting item, we have Doran's Blade and Doran's Shield, as always. So Doran's Shield is going to be the safer option and very good against poke. So if you're against range lanes like Azir, Victor, but you're actually going to take this against not only just range, but just like strong lanes in general. Let's say, for example, you're against a Darius. He's a melee champion, but you're still going to want to take D-Shield just because it's really good into his bleed, and it just gives you more health, and it's a more defensive option. You can't really play super aggressive into Darius anyway. So yeah, this is just the more defensive option. You don't get any damage from it. You get more HP than Doran's Blade by quite a bit, actually, and it's more sustained. So yeah, if you think it's like a really hard lane, I would go D-Shield. Then we have D-Blade. This is for mostly melee lanes that are on the easier side. So let's say you're against like a Galio or you're against an easy lane like Aurelion Sol. I would opt in for Doran's Blade just because Doran's Blade is good against easy lanes where you don't need the D-Shield. It's way more kill pressure. You get 10 AD. 10 AD is a lot, but obviously you get 30 less health, which is quite a bit. So yeah, I wouldn't say rule of thumb is just like melee lane, Doran's Blade, range lane, D-Shield. Think like if they're a lot stronger than you, D-Shield. If they're pretty weak, Doran's Blade. Okay, now for our first item. So we actually have two. I was only going to put Bork as first, but on current patch, while I'm making this guide, I don't know what patch we're on because they like name them really weird. 25.s what? I don't know what that means. Whatever that means. But yeah, they buff Yone Sol. So our first item is Bork. This is going to be like the most common built. It's by far the most commonly built item on Yone right now as first item. It's just very consistent, gives you that lifesteal. Has a pretty decent build path, better than Yone Sol, that's for sure. Gives you the lifesteal, just everything you want, and you're just a one item like a monster with this. So most of your games, especially if they're like really tanky, you want like the front to back, Blade of the Rune King is going to be really good. Alright, now onto the second item, which is Yone Sol. This is a little bit less expensive, 200 less, but this is actually going to give you crit on your first item, which feels really good because we haven't had that in like quite a while in the past like year, which is really weird to say. I never really thought of a timeline that Yasuo and Yone would have no crit item. So yeah, if you really love having 100% crit at 2 items, Yone Sol is definitely going to be for you. But yeah, so the thing that's like kind of bad about Yone Sol though is that the build path is atrocious. This item is not good. Like compare the slingshot item to a recurve bow. Recurve bow just gives you so much. It synergizes so well with lethal tempo because like the more attack speed, the more damage it's gonna do. Whereas this is more of like a burst thing, and it just feels really bad. So I would only really go Yone Sol if you're in those like really free lanes, because again, your early game is gonna be a lot worse. You're not gonna have any lifesteal. Build path is not very good. And even when you build the item, you're weaker than if you went Bork first, right? Because you have to like spend all this time autoing minions just to get the 50% crit. And yeah, so I would do this if you want to like get 100% crit and scale faster in like easier lanes. Let's say you're against, again, like Aurelion Sol, or I think it's actually pretty decent into those lanes where you're not going to be autoing a lot and everyone in the game is squishy. So let's say, for example, you were against a Zed Evelyn. Does Bork really do too much into those lanes? Not really, because like you're barely getting any autos off. So actually, the slingshot could actually come in handy because it's more burst anyway than the recurve bow. But yeah, I still opt for Bork almost always, but I think Yunto is definitely another option if you don't like Bork, because a lot of people do not like it. But yeah, again, I would opt into this item if they're not tanky at all and they're like really burst heavy, because the thing with Yunto is that you can actually build tankier faster because you're getting that 100% crit faster, which I will talk about when we get to the builds in a second. So yeah, so these are the two first items. Now let's talk about the standard main build, which is just Bork, Shield Bow, i.e. pretty basic. I mean, just 100% crit and 3 items. It's really expensive, really squishy though, really squishy. So it's very hard to play this build in my opinion. But to my knowledge, this is the most commonly built. It's just, yeah, it's hard to play because you're really squishy, but this will give you the most damage out of any build. And our second build, this is actually like new and up and coming. The first person to do this is actually Cho'gath, which is a Korean player. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. So yeah, it sounds really weird. I was really skeptical about this until I tried it, but I actually really like it. So it's Bork. It's very similar to this, except you are just going Shojin before the shield bow. So what this does is, obviously Shojin gives you less damage in your first 2 items, but it's going to make you a lot more tanky, right? 450 HP, very nice. You're not going to have any crit chance, so again, it's going to be a lot less damage. But the logic to this item is that it's going to make you tankier, and it's going to give you that AoE damage and more E's and more W's. So basically you're getting more shielding, you're getting more uptime on your E. So against those team comps where like you want to be tanky as your second item and you want that uptime on your E, Shojin is going to be really good. And you may be asking, hey, why not like Hullbreaker or Stridebreaker? It's because this actually gives you AoE damage, which feels really nice. Because what also this does is dealing damage with abilities increases your champion's ability and pass damage by 3%, which applies on your Q, your W, and your E. So a big issue with like Bork Hullbreaker is when you enter a team fight and let's say you land a big ulti, you're doing like no damage, even if you get that big ult. But with this, your W is doing more damage, your E is doing more damage, your Qs are doing more damage. So it actually feels pretty good AoE wise. That's why I really like it, because I love being rewarded for hitting those big ultis on Yone. So yeah, go this build if they're like more on the tanky side and you want like a lot more damage, and go this build if they're more on like the squishier side and you want to be a little bit more tanky. Then we have the Yunto build. So this is the most commonly build that I do with Yunto when I rarely go it. So this is gonna look really strange, the third item especially. So Yunto into Shield Bow into Zeke's. So you're gonna be like, wait, what? Zeke's? So the thing with this item is that it's really cheap, and it's giving that tankiness on armor and MR, and it gives you the HP. So it just gives you good tankiness. It's a very cheap build. It feels really nice, and it gives you damage when you cast your ulti. So you may be wondering like, hey, why not Jaxo? It's because Jaxo just is so expensive, and Jaxo gives you no damage at all. At least this is like way cheaper. So you can start your 4th item, which is going to be more damage. You'll have like half a death stance by the time you finish your Jaxo, if you were to go Jaxo. And yeah, you're just getting that little extra damage. So this is what I would do, because the point of going Yunto is against those lanes that are really squishy, or not lanes, but team comps that are really squishy, and you want to be like tanky. So you're getting like 2 forms of tankiness in your first 3 items, as opposed to like, let's say you're going Bork Shield Bow IE, which is really squishy, and you don't need this much damage if you're against like a Zed Evelyn, as the previous example, you know? So that's the logic of these 3 builds. And these are the 3 builds that I currently go. But I will say, I barely ever go this. I need to try it out more, but yeah. I go these 2 pretty 50-50, honestly. So yeah, now on to situational items. So first situational item we have is Navori. So the thing with Navori is that it is going to be a substitute for Shield Bow into certain comps, right? So let's say you're against all AD and they're all super auto attack heavy. They have like a Kindred, a Tryndamere, AD carry, all that. So instead of going Shield Bow, I actually like going Bork into Navori, because then I have enough attack speed where I don't have to go Berserker Greaves, and I can go those Tabby, which feels really good. Especially because like the upgraded boost this season, which I will talk about at the end, is so much better than upgraded Berserkers. Upgraded Berserkers is useless. Very useless. So yeah, those are the times where I would go Navori when I want either Mercs or Tabbies instead of Berserkers. Our next item is a Bloodthirster. I almost never go this item. I don't think it's really good. It's a lot of damage, a lot of lifesteal, but by the time you already have like all your other damage items, I don't think you really need like another pure damage item, you know? You don't really need the lifesteal. Like maybe you could go it in like this build right here. Yeah, I could see Bloodthirster being good in the Yunto build, because then you're getting the lifesteal because you don't have lifesteal in that build. So yeah, I would only really go this if you're going the Yunto as like a 4th item. Get the lifesteal, get the shield. Wouldn't feel too bad. Next we have Stridebreaker, which is still a very commonly built item on Yone, but I don't really like it. Again, I think Shojin is just better. Shojin is cheaper, way more damage, in terms of a AoE, and it gives you 5 more AD. Yeah, I mean, this will give you the slow, but like, do you really need the slow on Yone? Not really. This is more of like a Yasuo item, in my opinion, so I never go Shardbreaker. I kind of quit this item, and I replace it with Sojin. Just feels a lot better, but yeah, you guys can let me know how it feels. Next, we have Death Dance. Very calmly built item, has never been bad. It's just, if they're heavy AD, they're heavy burst, Death Dance is just the perfect item for the situations, just because it makes it so you have that bleed, you don't die instantly, gives you that armor, AD, just nothing to hate about this item. It's just very solid into heavy AD comps, and it works on magic damage too. So if they're mixed damage, Death Dance is still very, very good. Now we have Mortal Reminder. So this would be if you really want anti-heal. But I will say it does feel pretty bad building this item. I don't really like it. But let's say they have like a Soraka, Vladimir, and no one on your team is building anti-heal. I would go this instead of going IE. Do not go Mortal and IE. You're going to replace the IE with Mortal, if you have to. Jackshow, I would go this as like a 4th item. For example, on the main build, going Bork, Shield, IE, you have so much damage right here. And then you want to end your build with like some tankiness. They're like a split magic damage and 80 damage team. Jackshow would be perfect for the scenarios because you already have your damage, lifesteal, then you just need tankiness. So Jackshow would be very good there. Skimitar, very self-explanatory. If you need QSS, you're going to build this item. They have Malzahar. They have a lot of CC that you cannot avoid, like Annie, stuff like that. I would go Skimitar. But again, I would only, even if they have an Annie, I think if you're really good at Yone, you can like get rid of a lot of CC anyway. But I mean, QSS is always good if they just have like too much CC as like a 4th or 5th item. GA, I think by the stats, this actually has like the highest win rate on Yone as like an item, just because it's a very solid item. So I would just go this as like a last item, because once it gets to late game, that last team fight, that GA is going to be like the make or break difference at winning the game. So there's a reason it has a high win rate. People usually end their builds with like GA, just very solid. You're going like Bork, Shield, IE, Jackshow, just end it with GA. It's completely fine. But only if you could rely on your team a little bit. If you're the only person on your team doing anything, I would just go Death Dance, because if your GA is popping and your team is useless, you're losing the game anyway. So Kraken. So Kraken's a very interesting item. You guys are probably surprised I didn't put this under first items. So I guess technically it would be under first item, but I am a Kraken hater. I think Kraken is just not a good item. It doesn't scale at all, and I'm just a really big person when it comes to scaling. So like if my items don't scale, it just feels really bad. I will say if you want like a really good early game, Kraken does have the best components as like a first item to snowball, because you're building Recur Bow and Hearthborn Axe. So if you're getting both these items, you're getting 1.3 attack speed like instantly. So you're gonna have like the highest damage, but again, I don't really think it's worth it. I would just take a little bit less damage so I could scale way better. But if you want the very good early game playstyle, if you think you could end the game in like 20 minutes, then yeah, Kraken is for sure the best item for that. Lord Doms. So they actually just buffed this item on current patch. They buffed it by 5% armor pen, 40% armor pen, which is actually a lot. I think this, I need to do more testing, but honestly, 40% armor pen, it might actually just substitute Infinity Edge, because this is so much cheaper. This is 500 gold cheaper than IE. 500. The only thing that's like really awkward about it is that like it's only armor pen, and Yone does a lot of true damage and magic damage. But the thing with Yone's true damage is that it's based on the damage he does. So technically it does make you do more true damage, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I could definitely see Lord Dom just being a better IE if the I can't do math, but maybe someone do the math and see if Lord Dom's actually out damages IE. Then we have Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker is what I was going in this build before I found Sojin. So yeah, this is just more single target. This would be better in like split pushing if you're only gonna split push. So like maybe if you're playing top lane Yone and you're only looking to split, going Bork Hullbreaker would be the best option, because the splitting power is just insane and it's very good single target damage. So yeah, this would replace Sojin if you want that splitting playstyle and the single target playstyle. Next up, we have Iceborne Gauntlet. This would go again as probably like a 2nd or 3rd item. I don't really go this item. It's not bad. It's just, I feel like I'd rather go a different item every single time. It just feels really awkward, because I don't really want to go at 2nd because it doesn't give any AD, and I think having no AD on your 2nd item feels kind of weak. And by the time you get 3rd or 4th item, there's just better options, usually Death Dance. But yeah, if you really want the slow and a cheap item, maybe it's not bad, and maybe I need to try it out more. I don't know how to say this item at all. Kinetic, I don't fucking know. But anyways, it gives 80 MR. So this is actually a really good item. I never find myself building it, but if you are versing a team comp that is only AP, this is actually the perfect item, because it gives 400 health, 80 MR, and a shield. So this is like the just the best anti-AP item. So if you're against a team comp that is just all MR, I'd probably go this as like a third item, like going Shield Blow or Blade of the Ruin King, Shield Blow, Infinity Edge, then just end with this instead of Jack Show. But again, I don't really think those scenarios are going to happen very often, because if someone's building that much AP or picking that many AP champs in one team comp, they're probably trolling anyway. Next, I have Random's Omen. I don't really see myself building this too much either, but it has its angles. If you're against like Tryndamere, Kindred, AD carry, they have 3 crit champions, I would say Randoms is pretty solid. You could go that as like a 4th item. And last up, we have Spirit Visage. Again, kind of like Randoms, you're not really going to go this very often, but you could go this as a 4th item if they're mostly AP and you have like a Soraka or a Janna, and maybe you have Ocean Soul. Visage will just fit really good in the end of your build. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the new boots. So the newest thing on season 15 is that there's these things called feats, and if you win all 3 feats, it's like first up to 3 kills, first blood turret, and 3 objectives, you get upgraded boots. So as we can see, all boots are not created equal. These Berserker Greaves are terrible. So all this gives you is 10% attack speed, which is not very good, because at that point in the game, we don't really want more attack speed. Gives you more movement speed, which all the boots do. And the passive on it is attacks grant champions move speed on hit, decaying. So it's basically Zephyr, which is pretty weak. Yone doesn't really want the movement speed and the attack speed. So yeah, it's just spending 750 gold for basically nothing you really need. So that is why if you win the feats and you're against like an all AP comp, you're against an all AD comp, I would actually opt in for the Navori just so you can build these, which as you can see, these boots are so much stronger. So not only is getting more armor better than getting more attack speed, but you also get a massive shield. I think it's like a 250 shield every 12 seconds. It only blocks AD, and same with the Merc. So these are the same. More MR gives you an MR shield, more armor gives you an AD shield. So as we know, when you're ahead, it's way better to build defensive anyway. These boots are just really good. If you're against all AD, go the Flicker Blade, go Tabbies, or go the Mercs. They're really good. And that sums up everything for Season 15 Yone Item Guide. Now let's talk about Yone's abilities. First, Yone's passive is Way of the Hunter. Yone actually has 2 passives. The first being that he doubles any crit chance he has, making it so he only needs 2 items to get 100% crit, and the other part of his passive which makes it so every other auto does 50% magic damage, making him a bit better when you pick Yone and make your team comp all AD. Next we have Yone's Q, Mortal Steel. This ability is Yone's bread and butter. It's a spell that has a very low cooldown, and after using it twice, it becomes upgraded and allows you to travel whatever direction you decide to aim it. Important to keep in mind that you could dash over many walls with this upgraded version, allowing you to escape or close the gap in many situations. This spell is going to be your main way of dealing with those champions that if you get into melee range, you are probably dead since Yone's base stats aren't the highest. You need to act like Yone's Q range is basically an extension of your auto range, and kiting and spacing with this spell is one of the most important things to practice when becoming an amazing Yone player. Last thing to note is the cooldown of this ability is lower the more attack speed you have, which is why attack speed is the most important stat on Yone over anything else early game. Yone's W is Spirit Cleave. This ability is your defensive tool. Whatever direction you cast it cleaves your sword, and as long as you hit an enemy, including minions and monsters, you deal mixed damage and get a shield in return. The important thing to note about this ability is the more champions you hit, the bigger the shield you'll be given. Another unique thing about this ability is it actually gets reduced cooldown based on your attack speed, just like Yone's Q. So basically, the more attack speed you build, the more times you'll be able to defend yourself. Yone's E is so unbound and arguably his hardest spell to use and what really defines a Yone player. On cast, you dash a fixed direction and leave behind your body. After 5 seconds or if you use E again, you will go back to where you cast this ability. All the damage you deal while in spirit form will be dealt again as a percentage as true damage based on the level of the ability capping at 35%. In this ability, you also get increased movement speed for the duration. The reason this ability is so complex is because there are so many mistakes and skill checks that come with it, and I see so many players that I personally coach struggle with. The most common mistakes I've seen with this ability is using it too early and allowing your opponent to get away from you, using it too late and not having enough damage and losing the 1v1, or using it too early in a team fight and ultimately leaving your team to fight 4v5. The last 2 things that are very important to note on how to use this ability is since it is a dash on use, using it to dodge something before going in for a trade is so important while becoming an amazing laner with Yone. An example of this would be laning against Cassiopeia, simply timing your trading by using your E to dodge her Q cast and then run straight at her. And the very last thing you know about this ability is that you can essentially use the second cast as a cleanse and never be CC'd. A few examples of this are cleansing Twisted Fate Gold card, Nocturne Fear, and even Malzahar ult. Yes, you can even cleanse ultimate abilities with this spell. I know it's a lot, but this is why this ability really is the difference between a just okay Yone player and an amazing one. And last but not least, we have Yone's ult, Fate Sealed. Yone charges up for 0.75 seconds and then blinks, stunning everyone in the area for 1 second. This ability is what really makes Yone terrifying in teamfights and can really solo win a game. The most important thing to note about this ability is the long cast time it has. A good rule of thumb before using this on someone is make sure they either have no way of dodging it, or they're CC'd first. If neither of these rules are met, you are never going to hit this ability. The most common use of this ability is landing your Q3 first, guaranteeing your ult to land since they were already BCC'd, or waiting for anyone else on your team to CC them first. Although this sounds like a very offensive spell, it can also be a really good last resort spell to escape and get out of any danger, since the distance you can cover with this is massive. Last thing to note about this ability is that it will not go the max distance, but instead stop at the first person hit by it. So if you're trying to escape, make sure no one is in your path or you'll stop short and end up dying anyways. Now we're going to talk about how to play Yone fundamentally. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Yone's early game. The most important thing you need to get through your head right off the bat while learning Yone is that you are not an early game champion, and patience will be very, very important while learning this champ. I've been asked dozens of times on stream, Tempest, how do I play Yone early game? It makes no sense. I just go in early and die. That's because you aren't being patient and rushing the champ way too hard. Yone isn't a champion like Aurelia or Yasuo where you could just fight to the death and non-stop trade level 1, but rather a champion that is all about exerting just enough pressure in lane while becoming a hyperscaling 1v9 champ in the mid to late game. So in the early game, especially against range champions, your two main goals in lane is to collect as much CS as possible while taking as little damage as possible until level 3. Once you're level 3, you have very strong trading pressure, and since your E early game has such a high cooldown, you really need to make the most out of these trades to give yourself pressure and allow yourself to CS more easily. The best time to look for these trades early game is to wait for the enemy to use one of their abilities. Example being waiting for Orianna to use her Q at you, simply E to the side and instead of calling it a day and Eing back, use this vital time to give yourself pressure and do as much damage as possible to the enemy laner. Obviously there are situations where you are stronger than your opponent early game and you can have pressure starting at level 1. Because after all, Yone with lethal tempo is by no means weak and can easily contest a lot of melee champs level 1, allowing you to have push and pressure out the gate. Good example of this would be against Zed. This matchup you can easily get the push from him and start winning the lane from level 1. So basically to sum it all up, the main goals of the early game as Yone are collect as much CS as possible, use your early E's to negate as much damage as possible, and do not over-aggress and fall behind early for no reason. After the early game, we have the mid game of Yone. The main concept and thing you need to know about Yone is that he is very strong, if not the strongest side laner in the entire game. What this means is that instead of grouping with your team non-stop, you really want to be in the side lane and just farm and pressure as much as possible. Since after first item, even if you are a bit behind, you'll be able to 1v1 almost any champion, especially mages. And if you're ahead, you can even start diving them full to 0 fairly easily due to the safety of your E ability. You preferably want to be pressuring the side lanes where the most important objective is, so you can group with your team, secure that objective together. Another thing to note is that it is fairly common to swap your Warning Trinket to Sweeper to control vision and choke your opponent out to allow yourself the best chance of getting picks. The flowchart of the mid game in my head while playing Yone is as follows. Push out wave, sweep enemy jungle and get vision, kill any jungle camps in enemy jungle to get even further ahead, bring enemies to you to give team pressure, then either group with your team since your opponent will be under turret, or if you think you can, dive them and begin destroying their tier 2 towers. Obviously do not follow this chart to a T, but rather use it as a reference and change your plan accordingly on where the enemy is on the map and what your team is currently doing. So to wrap up the mid game, pressure side lanes, kill enemy jungle camps, choke their vision, and secure all objectives with your team and continue getting stronger and stronger. The last part of the game we're going to talk about is the late game. There isn't much to say about late games as it is very high variance and every game is way too different, but I will say the most important thing about the late game is playing around Baron, Elder, and the new added objective, Otacon. Do your best to clear and get vision around these objectives to give yourself the best scenario to go for picks, because even one crucial pick late game can end up getting you one of these important objectives and win you the game. Now onto how to teamfight as Yone. So I'm going to preface this by saying there's no one way or guide to teamfight with Yone or any champion, because every game of League of Legends is so different, and there are just way too many scenarios for one way to always be the right way to teamfight. So I'm just going to do my best to give basic tips on how to approach teamfights instead. So a big change in Season 15 build path is that Bork is the most common first item on Yone. So how does this affect teamfighting? This affects it by quite a bit, because in past seasons, since you had 100% crits so early, going for the AoE massive ults could instantly win you a teamfight. But since Bork is so commonly built nowadays, even if you land these massive ults, you really aren't going to deal nearly as much damage this season, since this item is about single target and very low AoE damage. I'm not saying you should never go for these big ults anymore, but just be very careful, because even if you land it, sometimes it's just better to play it slow and really play for the single target damage. So when approaching teamfights, it's generally best to focus front to back with your team and kill one target fast and save your ulti to get close afterwards. Another big tip in teamfighting is you almost never want to E ult if you do not have your Q3, Because if they flash this, you're essentially wasting all of your important tools in a team fight and can easily solo lose your team the fight. But if you have Q3, even if they flash, you can easily still follow them or even go on someone else with your Q3 instead, making you still have impact on the fight. One last step with teamfighting is holding your R can be even more powerful than actually using it. What I mean by this is as long as you don't waste your ulti, the enemy carries will be terrified and unable to walk up just by your mere presence, which can easily allow you to win front to back due to enemy backline hesitating and not wanting to get one shot by your ulti. Again, it's really hard to give in-depth tips on every teamfight, so I hope at least these rule of thumbs help. Next, we're going to talk about some Yone combos. So first, we're going to start with some really easy ones, which is Q Flash, which by the name, it's just Q Flash. You can also do this with the third Q, just like this. And yeah, that's that. Next, we have W Flash, which is basically the same thing, it's just with W instead of Q. So there's W Flash. Yeah, very basic. Okay, now we're going to talk about a trading combo, which is getting your Q3. Very basic, it's just E, Q3, auto, W, auto, Q. That is the most basic trading combo that there is with Yone early game, in lane. Okay, now we're going to talk about something a little bit more advanced, which is you can actually make 2 hitboxes with your Q. So if you don't know, there's 2 hitboxes. There's one, the regular NATO, and you yourself is also a hitbox. So a lot of people don't know this, and it can actually come in handy. So from this position, you think, oh, you can only hit one person with your third Q, but you could actually hit both of them by doing this. So you flash into one, and then the NATO goes on this one still. So a lot of people don't know that, and it can actually come in handy with going for like multi-kills like that, because let's say you do it in combo. So if you're going for like a combo with it, you can do this guy, flash, and then ult them together like that. So it's very niche, but it can actually be very, very helpful. Now onto the most basic all-in combo with Yone, which is getting your Q3, E, Q3, ult, auto W, auto Q, all that. So the thing that's you really have to note about this combo is that you have to max range the Q, or they can actually flash out of it. So if you max range it like that, as I just did, they can't flash, but let's say you're like this, and your ulti, they can actually have time to flash. So really make sure when you're doing this combo, you have to make sure that you do max range, or they just easily flash out of it, or let's say you're playing against a Zed, you can just W out of it, stuff like that. Okay, now we're going to talk about some Yone tips. So the first one being a very noob Yone move, which is a lot of people think, oh, I need to escape out of a gank, so I'm going to E away. But you never want to E into the turret. So the reason why you don't want to do this is because when you E, it puts your E behind you. So if you're Eing this way, you're going to E back into danger and just die. But let's say you're getting ganked by like Zed right here, like Evelyn. Instead of Eing into the turret, you E ahead, but it puts you into the turret. Let's say you're not that close, you get your third Q, and then you third Q out. So this is a very common tactic on getting out of ganks with Yone. Another thing with Yone E is that most champions actually have to wait in the fountain to buy their item, but for Yone, you don't have to do that. You can be all the way out here, let's say you just got enough money, you run all the way to the fountain and you buy whatever you want. So this is going to save a lot of time to getting back into lane. So definitely use that every single time that you can. Another thing with Yone is, let's say you can't get over this wall, you don't want to flash, you don't want to ult, you don't have third Q. So to do this, you just E over it, Q it twice, E back, and third Q over it. It's just a faster way to get over some walls, and yeah, you can do this over any single wall that you can think of. Another tip with Yone is that a lot of champs, when they want to ward, it's pretty scary to do so if you don't have vision. But with Yone, even if you don't have vision, you could easily just E over this wall and get deep vision. Even if the jungle's here, it doesn't matter. You just E right back. So definitely use this to your advantage. It's very, very important. Another tip with Yone is that your ult can actually go through walls, even if it's just halfway. So a lot of people think like, oh, I need to go all the way right here to go over the wall. But this is actually not the case. You can be like right here. It's like halfway. It'll still put you over the wall. So this can save you a lot of time and actually save your life. I think the biggest one I saw was like over here. Do it like... Oh, that one was kind of like... That was way more than halfway. Like right here. Yep. So definitely use this to your advantage, because a lot of people will walk all the way towards the wall, but you don't actually have to do that. And my last tip on Yone that's actually really important is that a lot of people use their E way too early playing this champ. So let's say you're playing against like a Zed who has W still. and he's running like towards this wall, right? So a lot of Yones would be like, oh, I'm just gonna E, try to fight him, and then he W's, the play's over. But a better Yone is actually just gonna like keep following him, he W's over the wall, then you're gonna use your E. So many people I've coached in the past just use their E way too fast, put themselves on a timer, and they lose crucial kills. So that is definitely my biggest tip when playing Yone. Okay, so this is going to be our first full game review. First, we're going to do a mid lane game, and then we are going to do a top lane game, because the playstyles of both the lanes vary very differently. So mid lane is definitely going to be way more about like not really solo kill and 1v1. It's going to be like just getting prio, not getting like completely shoved in, and helping your jungle. So yeah, today we are against a Cho'gath mid, which is probably one of the most popular mid laners at the moment. I think it has the highest win rate in the game on this current patch, just because of the new strategy with like going Deadmans and all that. So yeah, but on the bright side, Yone is actually one of the best champions into him. I think Yone is really good at Cho'gath. So yeah, runes, we went second wind overgrowth, because I didn't know if we were against Heimer mid or Cho'gath, because it could have been Cho'gath top. But yeah, these runes are perfectly fine. If I knew it was Cho'gath, I would probably go like boots biscuits, because biscuits are really good at melee lanes for the all-in. Yeah, we went D-blade just because it is a melee lane. It could have been Heimer. If it was Heimer, we would have been in a pretty bad spot. Oh, she started Q. Interesting. I feel like usually a lot of Cho'gath start E, so it's interesting. He's spamming those Qs a lot. It's gonna cost him a lot of mana. He went D shield. Usually they go D ring, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, if you're not slowing off the game wording this, you should either push one wave or two waves and then word this. Usually you should do it in the beginning of the game, just a lot easier for people's brains. But yeah, that's like ideal word for a mid laner to put. Just gives you a lot of vision on everything. So yeah, we already got our vision, so now we are just going to whittle him down little by little and just try to dodge all of his poke. Because at the end of the day, Cho'gath is kind of a poke champion. Sidestep that. It's a little greedy not going D shield because he does have a lot of sustain in his kit. So he is going to out-sustain us a little bit. Gonna be a really good try. Ooh, I accidentally canceled an auto there. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to get solo kills. Obviously, if you're in lower elo, solo kills are a lot more possible. But in mid lane, basically, our job is just to get as much farm as we can. Try to get prio in the lanes that you can. Usually, you can't get prio mid lane because you're against a range champion. But against Cho'gath in melee lanes, you can usually get prio. But yeah, our job is just to, again, scale and ideally get prio or just have some sort of like pressure so your jungler doesn't just get roamed on, right? Yeah, getting solo kills pretty hard in mid lane. We're trying to farm up and try to have enough pressure where like the enemy jungle ganks you and just not die to it is ideal. I'm gonna hug this way. Ooh, really good gank by my jungler. Gonna flash out last second. Nice. So that's perfect. See, as I just said, I saw Fiddle coming to us, so I know I could take that trade. I'm saving my E for when Cho'gath uses his Q. I dodge it, and then we just kite towards our jungler. Damn, our team is stomping this game. Well, hopefully this game isn't too short, but at least right there was a good way of showing what I was just talking about. So yeah, we're getting pressure, we're pushing, making the jungler come to us, and the only reason I play aggressive there is because I know my jungler's there. Yeah, so it's all about bringing the jungler to your lane and then just not dying. Applying pressure when you can. Oh, I can use TP. This lane, we're just gonna sit on Recurve Bow, Double Dagger, and we're actually not gonna go boost this game. We're gonna rush Bork from now on. So in melee lanes, I really like rushing Bork. I think it's just really good, so you're not wasting too much money on your boots. Because if I were to buy boots right now, it would cost what, 600 gold? Yeah, instead of spending that 600 gold, we're actually just gonna go right into our Bork right now. Oh, we barely sidestep it. This guy's dead here. Oh, he still had flash. I forgot. That was really smart by him to save his Q. Again, I'm not using my E until he uses his Q. Well, right there I used it because he wasn't using it, and then I just sidestepped his Q. But yeah, we got the wave in, got his flash. It's all really, really good. It is going to feel a little bit bad not having boots, but again, in a lane like this, I don't really need the movement speed because I'm just playing to farm up anyway. I don't really want to rotate, especially since I'm getting Briar in the lane. If I was against a range champion like an Aurora, I would rush Berserkers because movement speed is so important. Or at least just sit on tier 1 boots. So yeah, if you're against a range champion, sit on tier 1 boots. If you're against a melee champ, just go double dagger. Gives you more pressure in lane. And as long as you have the pressure, you're not going to need the boots to rotate as much because, yeah, your laner won't be rotating. Alright, we saw Viego bot lane, or bot side. We don't want to hard push this. A really bad habit to get into is just hard pushing every single wave. Because now if we just slow push this, he's losing all these minions. Whereas if I just hard pushed it, it would have been really bad and he would lose absolutely nothing. But yeah, your brain should always be being like, oh, there's a objective coming up, so I don't really want to trade for no reason. I'm still pushing that in, getting a ward here, and just making sure he gets the grubs for free. I think another really bad habit to get into is using your E. I see so many Yone players just like use their E for no reason. But it's like, we don't have to do anything. Like right here we can because the wave's pushing into me. He didn't even use his Q the whole time, interesting. I'm trying to bait this. I'm trying to like be really aggressive because I know Viego's here. Oh, he's not here anymore. Interesting. Maybe I made that a little too obvious. Oh, now we see him. We're fine. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm applying a lot of pressure here and just wasting Viego's time. Oh, it's so good. Nice. See, it's just the same thing. We're applying pressure, making them come into us. Oh, and we're getting glazed right now. This is not even a low elo game either. It's like D1 Masters, I want to say. So yeah, I wanted to do an elo where it's not too low or too high of elo. But yeah, Masters D1, so it's a decent quality game. But you see what I mean? I'm just applying a lot of pressure, and then I'm always hovering on the side or hugging the side of my jungle ace. Let me get the play at it. So yeah, I'm trading when I can, especially when the wave is pushing into me, but I'm actually like trading when I know my jungler is near me, you know? But again, you're gonna have games where like you can't rely on your jungler, right? We just have a pretty good jungler right now. If Biddle wasn't hovering me, I would be playing a lot safer and just playing for farm. Or playing in a way that I could still get out. Because like right there, I could still get out of the gank, right? Cho'gath was low, so I'm like, okay, I can play aggressive here, and even if the Viego does gank me, I was completely out. Honestly, I may have been able to 2v1 that without Biddle, the way I played that. Oh, we actually lose that because I don't have boots. But yeah, really big game changer, not finishing your tier 1 boots. I love just rushing Bork now. Saving that gold and like getting your power spike. Because this ship is totally different when you have Bork. Cho'gath, you are dead. Okay, now we're just so far ahead that, yeah. As I said, this matchup is really bad for Cho'gath. I'm playing it smart. I'm always saving my E for after he uses a spell. I see that he's like about to hit me with Q or W. I press W to like cancel the damage. And after he uses one of these spells, then I'm gonna use my E. Okay, we're not gonna greed. Well, actually, we can just hold a 0 dive this guy. Just gonna wait for Fiddle. At least I thought that was the plan. I think he's coming eventually. I want to save my ulti here. Nice. We didn't have to use all those resources. Like, oh my god. Nice. Such an easy game. Damn, this is a goddamn stomp. Even though this is a stomp, I think it's really showing a good way of like. This is a good game to show. So I feel like I've been playing this game like pixel perfectly. Okay, now we're gonna finish our boots. You technically don't have to go berserkers here. Let's see. Tabby's isn't really that good, and Merc's. No, berserkers is fine here. So basically, if it was a really good Tabby game, they have like 4 people auto attacking, or it's like a good Merc Treads game. Let's say they have like a Moo Heimer, and then like 4 AP. Then you can go Mercs and then build into Yone Sol second. I actually think Yone Sol second is really underrated for that reason. It gives you the attack speed that you're lacking. But yeah, I don't really think it's a good game for Mercs or Tabby, so we're just gonna finish it into Berserkers, and then we are going to build in Shield Bow. Yeah, this is definitely one of those easier games where our whole team stomps. But who knows? Maybe they don't surrender at 15. Oh, I lost a free plating because I was yapping. The time by E for any W's. We already have vision. Okay, we can get some vision on their raptors though. This is kind of a shitty word. Yeah, Cho'gath is one of the strongest mid laners in the game. So I was getting nerfed next match, but every single time I burst it, easiest games of my life. Or my life. It really is. But yeah, Yone is really good into it, that's why. It's probably not worth flashing to kill him, but you know, I need to get that last auto off. Ideally, when your laner is 0-4, you don't want to use any resources and just probably roam. But getting that kill makes it really easy to get first blood turret, so I think it's perfectly fine. Oh, what's my team throwing? Okay, that's kind of good. Just gonna ult. Oh wait, he's fiddle. You should be okay here. Oh, could play that perfectly. Nice. It's only gonna be Blitzcrank here. I'm actually gonna. This isn't really greedy. This is greedy going for this though. I doubt this guy can kill me. Oh my god. Is Cho'gath coming? Yeah, I think he is. We're gonna get out. I think this guy has flash. Oh yeah, he is mad. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's why I W'd. I knew he was gonna flash on me. So then he couldn't eat me. Damn. Oh, you know what? I'm just actually gonna stay for this one extra wave. She might actually greed. Let me kill her. Be slow. Good slow. Ooh. This game is such a perfect game. This is me playing off stream for once. Glad. Yeah, they might surrender at 15, but you know, still a good game to show. Honestly, I think I played this game really, really well. I really don't want to stay for this, but it's fine. Okay. I don't like the overstay here because she's coming. No. Oh. Never mind. She went top. But yeah, to quickly explain what's gonna happen, they're probably gonna surrender here. So after we get this whole massive lead, I mean, having this much gold this time is insane. But yeah, the rest of the game is just we're gonna build into IE this game because they're mostly squishy, and then we're gonna go Jack Show because the split AP 80 split, and then we're just gonna sit side lane. We're gonna go to the lane where the objective is that we want, right? So we want Air Drake next because we didn't really care about Herald, so we're gonna just split here, get pressure, get like wards, and we're just gonna play for the dragon. and kill anyone who is in the side lane with us. But yeah, I think they surrender at 15, I want to say. We'll see though. Oh, he just wasted his stun. Interesting. And GG. Yeah, a bit of a fast game, but I think this was a really well-played game and very good. So yeah, I will see you guys in the top lane full gameplay next. And now we have the top lane full gameplay. So yeah, for our room page for the top lane, we go Biscuits Boots. Actually, a lot of people haven't really seen this, but basically you want to take this into lane where like bone plating doesn't really do too much. So we're against Cassante in this lane. So bone plating doesn't really do too much against Cassante. Because if he ever procs it off you, he's probably just gonna like poke it off you and that's it, right? And you're not gonna get too much value from it. So yeah, this is really good because especially it's gonna help a lot in the all-in because you could just like chug all the biscuits when you're low. So that's the premise of it. You just get a lot of HP early game and it just makes your early game a lot better. And you get to save some gold with Magical Footwear. Although I see a lot of people take the other thing, I don't know, Cosmic Insight, the little eyeball thing. And that's just to reduce your cooldown, flash, and TP. I don't really like that. I like saving gold, but it might be a little greedy. Especially in melee matches where you need to space and like get boots early. Because yeah, obviously now we can't go boots. Yeah, this lane is way more 1v1 centric than mid lane. I will note that I play 10 times more mid lane than I do top lane. I do not play top lane like at all, but I do play a little bit. We're against Cassante. This is actually one of the easier matchups, I would say. Cassante's a disgusting character for sure, but as far as matchups go, I would rather versus Cassante than most champs for sure. Okay, he's taking a lot of Qs. Ooh, CS is a bit rough there. Ooh, wow, he actually played that well. I could be doing a lot better job spacing him, but yeah, we're just going for Qs mostly. If he does want to, like, any extended trade is really good for us though. So like Darius is piling top lane, so it's a little bit scary. Get my ward off now. I actually did a really bad job of like pushing. I should have pushed the way faster, so I'm not in this like awkward spot. Especially since Darius is piling top with me. But yeah, basically, if you have tempo and they have grasp, any extended trade is going to be really good for you. Except Darius is top lane, so you have to respect that. The bad thing about top lane over mid lane is like you're gonna be strong side or weak side. So since our jungler is bot and theirs is top, we have to like really respect our laner. Even though I feel like I could have out-traded him a lot, and I win right now, I still have to respect. And like taking too bad of trades will just make me get dove or something like that, so it's pretty rough. Yeah, as you see, Darius is still top side. So I actually did a really bad job of how I controlled this wave here. I should have committed to hard pushing it. I need to push it a lot harder. Or just let it push into me. But I did this like awkward thing in between where now it's just in this really awkward spot. But yeah, I think we can salvage it. We still have our biscuits. Ooh, he missed. I can actually probably get a splash here. I think I used E a little too early there. Just gonna hard push this wave. Yeah, I will say my wave manipulation in top lane is a lot worse than mid lane. I instantly knew my mistakes after I messed it up. We can probably just get our back up here. Wow, he's actually trying to stop our back here. Interesting. And he actually ends up dying for it. That is crazy. Oh my god. You should have sent me back. What the hell, man? Basically, this whole matchup is you don't want to use your E until he uses W. Because if I E at him, he's instantly going to hold down his W. I'm not going to do any damage with my E, and I'll just get stunned, so yeah, this lane, I'm down to go like this. You're just TP. Can't buy boots anyway, we're just going to go this, double dagger, give us enough attack speed, and then we are going to build strains of work. But yeah, just constantly go for like third Q, max range third Qs into Ws, and just don't get into W range of him. Because he'll just stun you, auto Q, and you're going to lose all of your HP. Oh, I didn't space that correctly. Still okay though. Yeah, that's exactly how you want to do that. As soon as he uses W like that, that's when you want to use your E. This is kind of... Just gonna get my ward here. That could have been a little scary if Darius was there, but I had a feeling he was on Grubs. Yeah, we know he is topside, so we need to play a little safe. We can get out pretty easily. Oh, looks like he is. Having top. Yeah, that is a big thing with top lane. That's why I kind of like mid lane a little bit more, because there's no such thing as like weak side and strong side, right? You don't ever have to worry about like not going for a trade a lot of the times. But yeah, you need to visualize it as like it's like turn-based game. It's like, oh, our jungler's bot side, and now we're playing on defense mode. Yeah, he gets this freeze. I'm not scared of him at all. I'm really just scared of Darius because he's behind me right now. Yep, there's 3 top lane. That's why I'm not playing aggressive. I'm completely fine here. Surely he doesn't actually go for this. Oh, I greeted really hard. I should be okay. Wow. I mean, I'm dead here, but... Okay. I could have played that a little bit better. Maybe if I just keep running. I should have kept running. Ah, it was a whole cannon wave. Yeah, I think if I didn't just wake up and record this, I think I could have played that a little bit better. I don't know why I turned. I think if I don't turn, he dies. But at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. Mid lane just lost 2 whole plates, and we get a free dive bot lane. This is perfectly fine. But again, it could have been better. My bad. I played that really, really greedy and tried to sidestep the Gragas ult instead of just ulting immediately. So yeah, definitely stings for me, but that's what we get for being greedy. At the end of the day, I get 1 kill. It's really not that bad. Oh my god, both games that I'm recording for this, I'm just getting glazed. I fuck with it. Okay, this is the very tilting thing about top lane. I'm 10 times better than this Cassante, right? I'm just winning every trade, outplaying him. But if we're weak sided the whole game, it's really hard to capitalize. Like, let's put it into perspective. Like, if my team was losing this game while I'm weak sided, those are the games that are really tilting, right? But thankfully, our team is capitalizing, so I'm not tilted. I would only be tilted if I'm weak-sided. My team's like losing 2v3, right? Okay, well, I don't have any vision. I'm kind of scared. I have no flash or ulti, so I kind of have to disrespect. I can't really walk up. If Darius is here, I'm just dead. Okay, we see Darius finally. Now we can walk back up. Oh, wow, that actually caught me. Interesting. It's another way to use E. Well, it's the same thing as I talked about. We want to use your E when he uses W. If he's gonna use his W aggressively, you want to dodge it with your E. Like I tried to there, but I messed it up. Other than that, we're just not third queuing into him when he has third Q, because we will just get hit by it for free. We're playing bot side again, so I can't really walk up. No idea where Darius is. I'm gonna assume they're playing for grubs. Oh wow, he actually got his back off. I don't want to get my back off until I have my full-on Bork. So yeah, he got his base off. He has a whole item. Don't really want to fight him. We're gonna play safe until we get our Bork. Oof, I'm greeting here a little bit. Cut him really well though. We have enough for Bork. See Darius though, I'm not too scared. Oh, if I can get my ulti off. If we can kill this guy, that'd be really good. Okay, he missed his W. Ooh. I may have baited my jungler. Okay, he got out. They used Shen ult on that though. That's perfectly fine. We're shitting on this guy before we even got our back off either. We've been weak sided all game, so this is all going really well. Get our free boots here, and we have enough for Berserkers, so it's really good. Okay, I'm gonna TP now because of Darius is right here. Now I can pressure this. We should fight this. If we can. Unfortunately, we do have a Shyvana jungle, so the champ is kind of dumb. If we had any jungler but Shyvana, there's a reason why Shyvana's not played very often. It's for that reason. She has a lot of downtime. Because I had TP and he didn't, that should have been a free kill. But she can't really chase without dying. It's all good. Oh, we're playing a little aggressive here, but any trade right now, we do win really hard. I especially like playing really aggressive when I have Bork after, because like every single trade, like he doesn't have sustain, right? And we do. God. This guy's playing so cocky. He has to have Darius up here again. Or it could be bluffing, who knows. But yeah, every trade that we take once we have Bork is just winning, right? He has no sustain, we have sustain. These are the cases where we can just play aggressive with our E's. Doesn't matter if he W's, we're so much stronger. Oof, that damage is insane. Can't really go for the dive, he still has his W. It is quite the challenge to dive this guy. What the hell? I don't think that actually consumed his ulti. Oh man. Yeah, as you can see, it's really hard to ever kill this guy under turret. Most champions you can fairly easily, but Cassante is one of the strongest top laners in the game, if not the strongest. Even when he's at 1 HP like this, you have to be really careful. Champ is a bit broken, I won't lie to you. Should be good for us. Oh. Oh my guy fucked that up so hard. That was a little awkward. I could have played that a little bit better, but I was a little scared of dying. It still works out. A little sloppy for my cast here, but it's all good. Wait on this W. Nice. Good job, guys. Yeah, do you guys see how patient I am this game? So much patience. Cassante is literally 1 HP, but I know if I like go for something really aggressive and just try to like third Q ult him, he just has W, he has his ults, he just has so many ways of like getting out and not being able to kill him, you know? So me being patient there really paid off. Just whittle him down little by little. Do not overgreed. That is how you throw. Like, we're in a position that like it's unlosable for us. It's so good. We don't have to risk a dive there. Oh, the Gragas is 4-0. Munka. Yeah, we're just gonna go Shield Bow second, probably into Lord Doms. Yeah, definitely Lord Doms this game, just because I know they buffed IE, but there are some games when you're against a pure tank, you're gonna need Lord Doms, or you're not gonna kill him ever. So yeah, what we want to do here is just push this out. We have TP. It's kind of hard to TP for this. Yeah, we always want to make sure to push the wave because now it made Gragas answer the wave. And now I'm here. We could actually like do something maybe. Emphasis on maybe. Ideally, we don't really want to force anything. Seraphim's already dead. Oh, this guy's trolling me. I'm not sure if I had to ult that, but just in case. Killing him fast is really good. Oh, go on Gragas. Oh, it's actually kind of bad. I got smited and killed. That's unlucky. Damn, I think we should all turn on the Gragas there, but that's kind of on me. I should have saved my ulti there. I didn't really want to E back because I want to get as much damage as I could on the Gragas. This guy's surprisingly really tanky. He has Ludens plus Shadow Flame me. Well, he took no damage. Oh my god. Maybe it was the Shen. I think the Shen had a really good peel on him. But yeah, if I didn't waste ulti on the Cassante, which maybe I didn't need to do it, I would have been a lot better. Still good though. This is the type of game where if we're just outscaling... Oh, big Seraphine ult. Wow. It feels like this Gragas is plot armor. He's getting hit by everything, but he's just getting kill after kill. Dumb. Unlucky. My Shield was already top, so I'm actually just gonna cover mid lane here. Wow, he actually lives. We love Juggernaut champs, don't we? I'm really strong. I do want to split, but at the same time, if I have ulti and like the wave, see how the waves over here? This is actually an opportunity where like going mid is completely fine. Yep, just in case the fight breaks out. I don't think we can really do anything though. My team's kind of just trolling. Not really sure why we're face checking that. That is a really fed Gragas. But yeah, there's no way bot. It's already pushing, so just hang around mid and like maybe getting a pick if they over-aggress is like perfectly fine. They won't expect that I'm here. But it doesn't seem like they're gonna play this aggressive. I'm here just in case though. No reason not to be. Oh. I could ulti for that and kill him, but is it really worth it? Not really. I don't really want to use my ulti just for one Shen kill. I'm gonna pick up this red. We could force this. I'm actually down. I'm down to just burn this. You see how I got the Shen to 1 HP, and now we can just burn this, and I still have ulti to threaten? I think that's the move. This is kind of risky, though. Well, it's just a really awkward position. Nice, it works out. I didn't end up needing my ulti, but imagine they contest that and I don't have ult, it's completely doomed. Oh, it's really good. I'm gonna use my TP top. So yeah, basically picture League like a chess game. I'm giving my top 1 or tier 1 turret just to get Autocon. And it's completely worth it because it's just a tier 1. I do feel like I've been grouping a little too much maybe this game. Maybe it's my inner mid laner coming out. But I think it ends up being good. I think a lot of people just don't understand when they should be in the side lane and when they shouldn't be. Me TPing kind of stinks because now I don't really have pressure into TPing into fight when I'm in side lane, but it's okay. I didn't want to lose more CS. I've already been missing a lot of CS grouping. But yeah, we're in a good spot. We got Autocon. We got Autocon. When I get my 3rd item, we're in a really good spot. Again, I push out the wave, and now I'm just going to group mid lane. So this is why a lot of people think, oh, I don't TP. We do not want to be fighting this. My team is trolling a lot this game, I won't lie. Even if I have my CP there, I don't even know if it's that. I don't think that was the issue. Wait, what? Nice, I get the Gragas kill, it's huge. Gonna go play with my Shyvana? Oh, he's actually dead to that. Oh my god, I'm a fucking beast, bro. Holy, that is so huge. Yeah, that whole team fight, it was just like, I see the Gragas, he ease in. He is utmost important because he's the most fed. I insta-kill that guy. Luckily, barely got him. And then when the fight is split like that, I want to help. You always want to play with your team. So I could have flashed towards the Shen, which I think a lot of people would have because he was 1 HP. I don't care about the Shen. The Shen's already outside of the fight, so I need to get to my Shyvana ASAP and just help her. Ooh, we can actually fuck with this guy here. Nice. So as soon as I 3rd Q him, I know as soon as I end, he gets unknocked up, he's instantly gonna press E because he's about to die. That's when I have to E back. Made him miss ulti, got him scared, and now we get the dragon free. I'll just get out. This is really good. I feel like I'm controlling this game really, really hard. Okay, we don't want to overdo it. If your team's sticking around, don't get mind controlled by them. Just do your own thing. Spam ping them back. If they don't back and die, not your fault. But I have 3,000 gold. I need to back. This game they're like all AD, so I'm actually down to go Death Stance. Death Stance is kind of awkward here. I don't like into Darius because I don't think it affects true damage. I'm a noob. I don't know these things. I don't think so though. Pretty sure I'll just take the flat true damage from Darius. It is true damage after all. Yeah, as you guys see, like, I'm not permanently in the side lane. I think that's a big thing that people don't understand. They're like, oh, top lane has no impact, I'm just perma side lane. It's like, I'm grouping with my team 24/7. Not 24/7, but I'm getting the side lane, and then I'm grouping for these fights. And that's what you need to do as a top laner. Like, I've watched enough Zuko, and he does the same thing. See? Random fight breaks out. This guy just tilted, I guess. I could have ulted that Darius. I think I should have. Or I could have killed him too and get guaranteed Baron. But saving my ult for Baron is also perfectly fine. I think we could have smelt it. 4v5. It's a little scary though. Oh, I fucked up. Oops, I mechanically fucked that up. Lucian should have died there. You need to hold my Q better. Nice, all good. Yeah, here we're just so far ahead, and it's a 4v5. I'm like, they can't really face check into us. We have so many options to zone them. Okay, yep. See, perfect example of a game I'm completely weak side almost all game. I play safe. I'm really patient. And then I get my turn to play and I 1v9 the game. I don't need a TP mid. They already have it. And by the time I TP there, we're probably just going to back. So, just going to do the camps, get some gold for myself, get my whole team red buff. And now we're going to push our bot side. Should be looking top. I don't think I need a TP. I'm pretty sure that guy's just dead. I'll TP if they like keep fighting, I guess, but right now I would like to pressure this. Oh my god, how broken is that champion? Oh my god, Cassandra needs nerfs. But again, I don't have ulti, so I really don't want to TP into that. Is there one anyway? Oh, he played that well. May I actually dead here? No, close. I tried to time my ulti when I got E'd, but he ulted at the same time. Very well played by him. I baited him back in, and you kill him. Nice. Good played. I wanted to play in that TP, because if he E's on me, he's just dead. And they surrender. Just like the mid lane game, complete 1v9. Really goes to show you can 1v9 on the champ. Mid lane, top lane, does not matter. Super strong in both lanes. The Aatrox matchup isn't too bad. Basically, you just need to wait out his passive, which gives him increased healing, and just dodge his sweet spots. I would go D-Shield in this matchup just because he has a lot of healing, and if you don't, you have a bad trade, he's just going to out-sustain you, so yeah. And after level 6, I would be a little careful after he ults, because he has even more lifesteal nowadays, so just don't fight him in his ulti, and then after Bork, this matchup is really free. Ahri could be a matchup that's a little annoying just because her mobility is quite insane, and landing ultis on her is just pretty much impossible. When going in for trades, I wouldn't even worry about dodging the E's. As long as you just wait out her Q, which she'll probably use on the wave, that's when you want to go in on her. Because even if you E in third Q onto her and eat the charm to the face, as long as she doesn't have Q, you're not going to take too much damage. So if you're letting the knock up Eing the E, you can get a really good trade after it. After she gets level 6, just never ulti her, unless you CC'd. Oh boy, Akali. Well, considering this champ has been my permadeath for the past 6 months, there's a reason for it. I think she is the hardest lane in the game for Yone mid. You can't really take tempo in this lane, and I love tempo. Another reason I hate it, just because the lane, or the trades are so short, it's pretty much impossible to ever proc it on it, and she just has so much harass, especially with the electrocute buffs that are coming in. This lane is going to be a nightmare with her Q auto Q. So basically, you're just going to bait out her Q, try to walk up, then walk back, make her use Q, dodge it. If you do dodge it, then you could actually go in for a trade. Very short trade. Get your grasp up, E onto her, auto QW, and E back. Basically, you want a third Q, do not E, make her use her E or W, and then you could finally go for a trade. But yeah, it's a very hard matchup, and basically it's impossible to kill her if she's a human. And onto another really annoying matchup, one of my most hated champions other than Akali, Akshan. So Akshan isn't the same, he's not, I don't hate him for the same reason as Akali, where like he just kills you in lane, but he will just push you under turret, kill your jungler, and then everyone will hate you. Your jungler will just hate your guts. This champion just goes invisible, you can't really face check it, and then he goes in a river, goes bot lane, everyone dies. They blame you, you hate your life. We've all been there. But yeah, so with Akshan, you just have to play early, go D-Shield, obviously. Can't really go for much trades early on, but after a couple of backs, it's pretty easy to actually fight him. And when you get level 6, you can easily lead with ulti because he doesn't have enough time to E out, right? Because his E is 2 cast, so if you could just ult onto him, make sure you get in front of him so you can't E out, that is the time when you can actually win. The problem with this is a lot of the times in solo queue, he will get a lot of kills and be snowballed, and it's pretty much impossible from there on out. So if you ping a lot and he doesn't get a lot of free kills, just wait till level 6, lead with ulti, make sure he can't E out, pretty easy lane. Now onto a very new champion, Ambessa. So I actually only laning against her one single time since she's come out, because I don't really see her or she's banned a lot. So I can't really give too many thoughts on this lane, unfortunately. But the main things to take away with the Ambessa matchup is that she has a lot of burst in her Q. So the way her Q works is that if you get hit by like the end of it, you take more damage. So when you see her Q, which is like the slash thing, I mean, all of her ability. That's another thing with Ambessa. You can't tell which ability is which. They all look the same. But it's like her little cleave. If you're on the outside of it, it does more damage. So when you see her Q, you want to E into her, dodge that, and the second part of her Q, which is the line. So you want to keep moving so you don't get hit by the line too. So that's where most of her damage is. You can't really dodge her E, which is the spin, and her W when she gets the shield. That's when you want to try to not auto her, because if you auto her when she's in her W, it's gonna do more damage. So keep that in mind. And then when she gets level 6, basically her ulti is essentially a Yone ult that's just faster. So shouldn't really get hit by that if you could just react with E. She tries to like long range hit it. Other than that, Exhaust is actually very good in this matchup, just because when she's in, she's really in. So if she goes in, exhaust her, all of her burst is gone, then you could just win the extended trade. So yeah. This is probably the easiest matchup that we talked about so far, Anivia. So Anivia is a very basic champion. I mean, she was a Season 1 champion. Her design is very linear. It's just dodge her Q. If you don't dodge her Q, she presses E and you lose half your HP. So basically, since she has no mobility, it's very unplayable after 6, because you just ult her, she just dies. But the only way you could lose this lane is if you're really greedy and eat her Qs, level 1, level 2. So you could give CS, because if you walk up and she QEs you, you're going to lose like half your HP. And that's the only time she could ever like actually beat you in lane. So just give some CS, don't get hit by that, and just be patient, a couple backs, you get level 6. She can't play the game anymore, especially if she gets gank. And you easily kill her passive through the egg. One more thing to note is that you could actually E through her wall. So if you E towards her and the wall's behind you, or diagonal, the end of your E, or like the spirit form of your E, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what it's called, will appear. It will go through her wall. Like, you know how it goes behind you? So if you E at her, the wall's behind you, you'll go through it if you just E back. So keep that in mind. That can actually save you a bunch. And he's a very boring lane, but it's not too hard. Basically, she just has a stun, so she has a very good gank setup, but she should never have enough damage or poke to like whittle you out of lane with like D-Shield second win, because yeah, she just is lacking damage in that form. She just has really good gank setup, so just watch out when you go in. Jungler's there, you get anti-stun, you just die. Basically, you're just going to play this safe, you're just going to farm it out. After a couple items, you can start winning trades against her fairly easily. Try to time your engages after she wastes her Q on minions, because sometimes they do that. If not, you can still just go in, eat the stun. You'll still win the trade after a couple items. And yeah, she has no gap close at all. So after level 6, you could just engage with ult. If she's too far in lane, just run her down. Aurelion Sol is one of, if not the easiest mid lane matchup for Yone. This champion just gets nerfed every other patch just because of low elo. His laning phase is abysmal. The best thing that he could do is just try to chunky level 1, like he'll run in front of your minions if he's good and just hold down Q, so just watch out for that. Other than that, after level 3, you're just going to win every single trade against him, and you could easily ult him if he gets in ult range, because obviously his E will not fly away in time. So yeah, very easy matchup, just farm it out. After a couple backs, you just run him down, he can't play the game. Another new champ that's come out recently, Aurora. Definitely a very, very hard lane. Honestly, so many people have come to my chat and be like, yo, how do you verse Aurora with Electrocute? And they're buffing Electrocute next patch, so I'm kind of terrified. I'm terrified of those Electrocute buffs. But basically, you're gonna just take it. You can't do anything early game. You're not gonna win any trades. And you really, really, really need to use your E's early to dodge her Qs. So basically, when you're CSing and you think she's gonna use Q, E to the right, and then run at her. You're going to eat her E damage, but as long as she doesn't hit the Q, you're pretty much chilling. So yeah, definitely use your early E's to dodge her early Qs. As long as you dodge a couple of these, she can't like whittle you out of lane, and eventually she's going to run out of mana. And when you do that, try to get some poke damage on her. But yeah, after level 6 and a couple backs, as I've said with other matchups, her W has like some sort of cast time, right? So if you catch her off guard and just ult, if she W's, you can actually, she can't do it in time. Like, it's gonna not even put her in the invisibility because you'll cancel it and all that. So yeah, it's not too bad. And then you just side lane with Bork, you just automatically beat her. It's a really rough early, but if you can get through it, you go even, dodge some of her Qs, be patient, and you can win this lane. Azir is a very handshake lane. It's not too hard, and eventually, again, after you get fork, you just win. But yeah, this is a very boring lane, especially if it's a good Azir. Nothing really happens, and you guys kind of just handshake, go even. Nothing really to note about this lane, except when he Qs at you, like the soldiers, that's the best time to use your E, because the soldiers are going to be like in front. So he's going to have less to auto you. Because if you just like E third Q at him when he hasn't used Q, he could easily get like 3 soldiers on top of you. So you don't want to do that. So ideally you want to time your engages when he Qs at you, because he can only put like 1 soldier in front of him instead of getting like 3 on you at a time. So other than that, your third Q could actually go through his ulti. So if you time it as he ults, your third Q will go through it. You won't get pushed back. And yeah, try to get in front of him when engaging or getting a gank, because if his E climbs or anything, it stops. So yeah. I was debating on not putting Brand on the list because, I mean, no one really plays it. But maybe in lower elos, there are some Brand players. So this lane's very easy. Even like early trades, even if he lands like EQW on you, you're probably just gonna win the trade anyway with your W. But ideally, try to just like E third Q through minion wave, because if you do it in front of minions, he'll have a really hard time landing the Q on you. So early trades, you can E back before the Q lands, so he doesn't get all 3 of his stacks on you. Other than that, try to watch out if his W is on a minion wave, because his E is like really long, so be aware of that. And after level 6, he has no mobility. If he has no flash, just ult him, run him down. Try to use your E to dodge his Q. Very easy lane. Another champ I wasn't sure putting on this list, Briar. I mean, I've versed a solo lane Briar once or twice in my life, so just in case, this matchup is fairly easy, I would say. The only thing you really need to look out for is getting stunned into a wall, so just don't stand next to any wall so you don't get stunned by her E. When she's in her W, she does a lot of damage, so try to kite it out. Don't just like sit in front of her, kite it, space her, and all that. Other than that, her ulti is very easy to dodge because there's a whole animation on it. And yeah, very easy matchup. You could even take Exhaust or Ignite if you want instead of TP, just for negating her healing or just her burst. Next, we have a very fun lane, Camille. So Camille is one of the most fun matchups top lane, in my opinion, and very even. Just because Yone's kit, basically, you have an ability for all of her abilities, right? So when she W's at you, you W, negate all of her W damage. You can easily space her so she couldn't get, or so she can't get her Qs on you. And then when she hook shots onto you and goes for the stun, that's when you E. So it's actually very, I would say it's Yone favored, just because all of your abilities have a counter to her abilities. And yeah, just never be in like an auto attack battle. You could even let her push level 1 if you're scared of like getting level 2 ganked. But yeah, after level 3, I would say it becomes your only favorite, and the further the lane goes, if you're even, you're just going to start winning and winning harder and harder. Another thing to note after level 6 is that you can actually time your E to get out of her ulti. So if you're in your E and you E back while she ults, it will literally negate her ulti. But sometimes it's very buggy, or like the timing is just wrong, and it will just like send you right back, so just watch out for that. This is probably my favorite mid lane matchup in the game, just because Cassiopeia is such a fun champion to verse. I know a lot of people hate it, and they're just like, oh, this is like such a hard Yone counter, but I actually find it a lot easier. So I think a lot of people just go D-shelled and teleport and play way too safe, and they go even early against Cassio. But you need to... A lot of people don't understand that Cassiopeia's early game is not very good. So if you're going even in this lane, yes, it can feel really bad. But what I like to do is actually go Ignite and D-Blade and play a little safe early, give some CS, don't want to get poked down. As soon as you get level 3, especially if they go tier, you can actually just all in them, or all in her and kill her in one all in. So just be very aggressive early on, try to get some solo kills and snowball against her, and this matchup gets a lot easier. After level 6, do not third Q into her, because if you third Q into her in your E, you're obviously just going to get ulted. That whole time you're stunned, and then you finally get unstunned, you get W'd, and you're just dead. So just don't do that. Lead with ulti usually, and you'll be good. Cho'gath's not a matchup that I do very often because no one really plays it, but in this current season with unending despair buffs, he's actually being played a lot more. So I don't think Cho'gath is very hard for Yone, just because Yone is really good at killing tanks. And this is going to be towards tank Cho'gath. I don't see AP Cho ever. So basically, you're just going to use your W when he Ws, ideally. Dodge his W damage with that. Save your E. You want to time your E when he Ws or Qs, because a lot of them will try to W and you can't E or you're silent, so you can't E the Q. So try to do it if you see either animation come up, just so you can have the movement speed to dodge his Q. Because if you dodge his Q, you're just going to win the trade, right? Very simple. He has no mobility. He does have a lot of sustain, so I would watch out for that. And if you don't want to be too greedy and you're not too confident, you can go D-Shield just to match his sustain. But yeah, just go even. As soon as you get Bork, it is unplayable for him. So Corki has actually become a very hard matchup. I think the last time I did this guide, Corki used to be the easiest matchup in the game, just because his early game was abysmal. But now, for some reason, Riot Game has made his late game OP while making his early game insane, and he's a lane bully, especially into melees. So he kind of just stat checks you. There's not really any counterplay. There's nothing really to like save your E for. So basically, every time you E3rd Q onto him, you're just gonna W away early. And if not, he's just gonna W onto you actually and play really aggressive. So usually you get to wait for a gank, but you do have really good gank setup after level 6 because his W has an animation. He doesn't have enough time to W your ulti fast enough like other champs do. So just look for that. Try to get a gank early. If you get a little bit ahead of him, you can start stat checking him back. Darius is a lane that is very, very scary because a lot of times they take Flash Ghost. And when they go Flash Ghost and you're on his side of the lane, he will just run you down, hit you 5 times, and it's over. So basically, this lane is just all about spacing. All about spacing. If he ever lands 5 autos on you, you're going to lose. So just always make sure you're kiting him. And if he ghosts at you, honestly, just ult away after level 6, because you cannot get away after he gets on top of you. The early trading, you don't really want to E3rd Q onto him, because if you E3rd Q, it's too linear, and he's just going to catch you out of the air, land a Q on you, W, and it's not going to be a good trade for you. So ideally, early on, you're going to want to land full range Qs. Make sure they're full range because he can easily catch you out of them if they're not full range. And just W after. So Q3, W. If you could bait out his E and he messes up, that's when you want to go for a trade with him. I've actually been seeing a lot more Diana mid recently over jungle, and she's actually kind of tough. So with her, she's a very big stat check champion, kind of like Wukong and those types of champs, where she just lands Q on you, E's onto you, and just beats your ass. So you need to watch out for that. She can beat you early, but as long as you're going even, as soon as you get a couple items, it's pretty unplayable for her. Since they nerfed TP, you could honestly go Ignite or Exhaust. Exhaust is really good into her because it completely cancels out her ult if she lands a massive ult. So I usually like going Exhaust into this lane just for that reason. And yeah, don't take bone plating. Second one is very important. She's going to Q the bone plating off you. Try to dodge her Qs as best you can. And yeah, if she jumps on you, just try to fight her to the death. And that's another reason why Exhaust is really good, because she jumps on you, she's committed, and she has to fight you to the death. So Exhaust is very good for that. Other than that, you just get the Bork and you start auto winning. Even when Dr. Mundo was like pretty meta back in the day, I always thought this was like one of the easiest matchups in the game for Yone. Just because he's a pure HP champion, and pure HP champions are not good into Yone. You do percent health damage, you do true damage, you go Bork first. So after Bork, it's completely unplayable for him. Even before then, it's not too bad. Just stand behind your minions, but watch out for minions that are like really low, because he'll like W and poke you with that. Ideally, you still want to be behind your minions so don't get hit by his Q. So when you see that he's about to like launch a minion at you, that's when you want to time your W to negate that type of poke damage. Other than that, don't use all of your burst at one time when he's in his W, because he'll get health back. And then after level 6, he gets a lot of health regen from his ulti, so just watch out for that. You can even go Ignite in this lane if you really want to, but I don't think it's really needed. After you get Bork, it's pretty unplayable for him. And yeah, watch out you can't CC him with your ulti until you get his passive out, so 3rd Q him. Make sure to step on his little thingy that falls out so he doesn't get the health. And yeah. Ekko is a fairly easy lane. I don't really see Ekko mid very often. It's a lot more jungle. But yeah, I versed it a couple of times. So basically when he E's on top of you, you want to just W, negate some of his damage, auto Q, and then you want to save your E for when you have your 3rd Q to follow him, because he's going to get really fast after 3 autos, and your E is going to help follow him and get some trading power afterwards. I will say some Echoes, I don't know if they still do it, but when I saw a lot of Ekko mid, they went Halo Blades. And what you really want to watch out for is level 1, because level 1, they will cheese the hell out of you. They'll E at you level 1, auto, get the passive, and then run away. So you could lose like half your HP level 1. So just watch out for that. If you see Hella Blades, do not walk up. Just wait for the wave to push you. After level 3, it becomes very easy. Other than that, his W is pretty easy to dodge. Make sure just don't stand in it. And it's free lane. So when I was doing my top lane guide, Fiora was actually my permanent ban. I don't think this is the hardest matchup top lane, but it's just a really annoying lane. So you're actually going to want to take second win in this matchup, in my opinion, just because she feels like she's kind of just a pseudo poke champion, even though she's melee, right? The first thing to note is about her passive. if you see the mark is like in front of her and she could easily poke it, walk in vision, and it'll give you a new one. So ideally, you want to the side of you, to like the left or behind you, ideally. Other than that, when she Qs onto you, try to W as she's queuing. So you get the shield, try to block your Q damage, and then you can start auto Q and start fighting her. Other thing you need to worry about is her W. So do not E. It's really obvious, but do not E third Q onto her because you're locked into animation. Show us W. You get stunned. Same thing goes with ulti. These are very stupid things that Yone players do into Fiora. Don't let her do that. Ideally you want a third Q, max range it, bait out her W, and then you E to the side to dodge it, and then you go for a trade. That's how you win against this champion. After level 6, if you get into a spot where she ultis you, just stand next to a wall so she can't proc your passive. So if this is a champ that's really cheesy and is planning to kill you like level 3, as long as you go even, you don't die early, you're just going to outscale him, it's going to become very unplayable for him. So I would go D-Shell in this lane just so you could survive early with his like Electrocute Ignite, they're usually going to do that. I would honestly opt for Ignite 2 just for some fighting power on him. It feels really, really good, especially this season where they nerf TP. And build putting is very core in this matchup. So basically, you're going to want to bait out his E. Either he's going to E after you third Q at him, or he's just going to E at you. So both times, you're going to use your E to dodge the second part of his E damage, and then you're going to go for the trade. Other than that, level 6, he has a lot of good gank setup with his ulti, so just watch out for that, and you're chilling. Galio is a lane that can be very tricky, but if you can actually learn the ins and out of it, it becomes a very good Yone favorite matchup. So the early game, watch out. Some Galios will try to start E and go for a really good trade, especially if they have Electrocute, they're going to do this. So just watch out for that. But basically the way you play this lane is try to dodge his Qs, try to wait for him to use his passive on some creeps, and then you never want to E third Q onto him, obviously. It's a very bad thing to do because if you E third Q onto him, he's always going to lead with his E, knock you up, auto, W auto, and you're going to lose the trade so hard. So this is one of those matchups where you want to Q3 without your E, max range it, and a lot of the times they're going to either just take it, or they're going to try to E at you. So you want to Q3 at him. If he E's, that's when you E to the side to dodge it. And then after that, he's going to auto and W, or W and then auto. And that's when you want to use your W as you're getting taunted. So basically, you're dodging the E damage, and then you're consuming the W damage with your W. So as long as you do these two things, this matchup is very, very easy, and you're always going to outtrade him. GP is not a lane that I've actually done in a while, because, I don't know, we don't have many GP players on the server, and I don't think a lot of people play him anymore, because he's got a lot of nerfs over the years, which I'm glad about, deserved. So this champion is very boring in terms of he's just going to poke you. If you try to go on him, he's going to put the E's down and all that. So what you want to do in this lane is when you go for a trade E third Q, when you knock him up, you're going to, instead of just autoing him, you're going to auto the barrel. But this is definitely a mind game because if the GP is good, he'll just hit the barrel as you're Eing onto him. So try to do it in a way where you're not in the E range. So you want to hit the Q3, knock him up, E into him, auto the barrel that's on him, and then you go for the trade on him, if that makes sense. Ideally, you want to do this when he doesn't have his passive, if you like use it on a minion to CS. Other than that, keep in mind that he can W your knockups, and after level 6, easily just ult on him, and as you ult on him, again, just auto the barrel. It's all about autoing the barrels when you CC him. Garen is a matchup that I see a lot of people say they hate, and they're like, oh my god, like somebody even come to my chat be like, Garen is so OP, how do you beat that? This is actually one of the easiest lanes. Like, I hate Garen, but fundamentally, this lane is so easy for Yone. And if you're losing this lane, you're just fundamentally bad. I'm gonna say it. So the thing with Garen lane is that he should never be able to auto you, ever. Because you could easily just space him with your E movement speed, like so when he Qs onto you, you just E away, kite it out, and even if he does land the Q on you, you want to W as soon as he does, block the damage, auto him, you're stacking lethal tempo, and as soon as he runs out of like all of his EQ damage, he has no damage. So your tempo is going to be fully stacked, then you're going to E onto him and start trading heavily. You out damage him early, his early game is really, really bad. I would even take Ignite in this matchup to try to solo kill him and just snowball on him. But yeah, after Bork, it's really, really easy. I will say after like 1 or 2 items that he gets, don't just eat the QE because he can potentially just QE Ignite ulti you and kill you in 1 hit. So just watch out for that. But yeah, the early game, try to freeze early and you can just run him down always. Gnar is a matchup that's not too bad, and it's pretty basic, I would say. He's kind of just like an 80 carry in a way, where he's just like autoing you from afar. So, same thing, just like any other 80 carry lane. You want to play safe early, go D shield, try to dodge his boomerangs if you can. The thing that I will note that a lot of bad Yone players do in this lane is that they will E third Q, max range it, and you're just trolling. Because if you E third Q onto a Gnar, what is he gonna do? He just jumps away. He just jumps away, and now you're down this cooldown, and then you're just in a really bad spot. So kind of like the Ezreal matchup that I was saying, if he's like running at you in melee form or mini form, and he's not even close to transforming, just get your third Q, run at him. Don't max range it, but gap close with the E movement speed. Gap close with it, get into auto range. If you're too close, he has to use jump because you're gonna land the third Q. You land the third Q, you take a really good trade when he's in mini form, and it's gonna be really good for you. I would watch out. You don't want to trade when he's in mega form. Just take really short trades when he's in mega. Just like max range third Q, W. Because if you max range third Q with E, he's going to easily land W on you. So just watch out for that. That's what you want to do without E. And then E his W. And you can still win trades when he's in mega. And watch out for walls or you get stunned and explode. Honestly, I don't think Gragas is really that hard of a lane. I just think it's really boring laning against him. And a lot of people get too cocky and then ulted into the turret. So basically, what you would need to watch out for in this lane is always be between minions because you don't want to get hit by his body slam. So when you're Eing at him, E third Q, you want to make sure you're between those minions so he stuns the minions instead of you. Other than that, when he throws the Q for poke, you either want to W it to negate it, or you want to E to the side to dodge the Q impact. Another important thing is that you could actually time your ulti or time your third Q when he ultis to try to misposition you, and you'll go right through it with the third Q. Or the ulti will just negate it, right? So try to time that. It is really important and can easily catch him off guard. Honestly, the Gwen matchup has always been a very good lane for Yone, just because you guys are very similar champions, very weak early game, and does very good scalers, right? But the thing is, Yone has lethal tempo, so you're always going to win the extended trade. The thing you need to watch out for Gwen is her burst. So you're always going to want to use your E as Yone to dodge the sweet spot of her Q. So as soon as she starts using like the scissors, she's just cutting, you want to E to the left, E like behind her, anything. Because that's where all of her damage is. Aside from that, she's going to be tankier in her W. So if she wastes her W, just like walk out, wait it out. It's a long cooldown. It's like the same cooldown as your E. You don't really want to E third Q onto her just because if you do that, she's just going to E it. So you want to ideally lead with your third Q and then again use your E when she uses her Q. Other than that, you just always stat check her. Watch out for her ulti if she has ignite. Sometimes they take ignite CP. Watch out for the all-in. Other than that, very easy. One last thing to note is that you cannot land ulti on her if she's in her W. As long as if you're inside of it, I think it lands. But if you're outside of it going in, it will not land. Your third Q, on, however, will. So keep that in mind. Heimerdinger matchup is so boring. This matchup, I wouldn't really say it's hard. It's just this champion's design is just abysmal, man. He just sits in front of you, puts 3 Qs down, spins on his head, and it's just so... There's nothing to do in this lane. It's not too bad. You want to save your E if he ever tries to throw the E at you. Other than that, don't get bored. The only way you lose this lane is if you get bored out of your mind, you E third Q, the E lands on your head, and you explode because the ult W's you. So just watch out for that. Just play very patient. After a couple items, it becomes very unplayable for him. If you do want to trade, though, the way you want to do it is you want to E at him, and then time your third Q as he E's. So you can kind of like cancel it by using the animation while you're stunned if he lands the stun. Other than that, you can definitely ult him because he doesn't really have any mobility, although he is really fast. So if you're getting a gank, try to lead with ulti, but be warned, if he's near a turret, he will have a lot of movement speed. So just watch out for that. Don't get bored, and this matchup is fairly simple. Early on when Hwei came out, I actually thought this lane was like impossible, but I think they did nerf him a bit, or I just learned how to play against it. So this matchup can be a bit annoying early because you can't really do anything against him. He's just gonna put down the W, and then if you go near the minion wave at all, he'll E you into the W, so just watch out for that. It could be a bit scary. But the thing is, after a couple of backs in this lane, if he ever wastes his E, that is when you just want to go. So his E is like any purple spell, the thing that like he puts on the ground, the thing that he throws that fears you, or again, like the thing that just smushes together. But if he does do the smush thing together, and he's still playing up on you, like let's say he put down the W and then he E's you, and you lost like half your HP. That doesn't mean run away. That means go. because he uses E, you ult immediately on him, and you're killing him. So that is your sign to go in. Because again, the only thing that's keeping you from killing him is his E. His E's on cooldown, that is when you send it, because he doesn't really have any mobility. Other than that, there is one more trick. If you're E third queuing at him or Eing at him, a lot of Hweis will get scared and throw the fear at you. But if you time your third Q as the fear collides with you, you will actually go through it and end up hitting him. So just keep that in mind. That could be a trick that I've done very often, actually, to catch Hweis off guard. I don't really have too much knowledge in the Illaoi matchup just because I don't think a lot of people really play her. I don't see her very often. But, I mean, she's a very linear champion, and I would say every champion plays against Illaoi pretty much identical. So her whole thing is that she makes tentacles. You can auto them, kill them. If you get hit by her E, which is the thing that she like takes the soul out of your body, you lose. It's really bad. So try to always, when you're going for a third Qs on her, either in your E or just third queuing at her, you are between minions, because her E will not go through minions. Otherwise, she'd be broken. So don't just E third Q. Unless you're really far ahead, you could do it, but ideally just bait out her E. As soon as you bait out her E, then you can go on her. Until level 6, then she ulties you and you lose. But I think if she ulties you and she doesn't have the E on you, you're kind of chilling and you can stat check. Other than that, like when you're in your E, you have the movement speed to dodge like all of her tentacles that are coming down, so just watch out for that. And yeah, so basically don't get hit by the E. If you get hit by the E, get out of the range or you lose all of your HP. So Aurelia, in my opinion, is a very hard lane, but a very fun lane. So the first thing you need to note about Aurelia is that her passive, level 1, can be very, very scary. If she just kills 3 minions, she just wins the trade, right? But level 1, you do actually win, and you should zone her from the minions, because without her passive, you will win, because you have tempo, you have your Q. She's not just going to Q on you, right? So level 1, you win until she hits her passive. Level 2, in this lane, I would actually start E second on Yone, which I don't think I would ever do in any other lane. Just because she's going to go E second. If she lands that stun and you're on her tower, or near her tower, you're going to get run down and you're dead. So going E second is really good because you dodge that and then you can win the trade. Other than that, she is a very scary champion. Even if you're up like 3 kills, if she has Bork, she can easily run you down if she lands 1 stun. So don't be like, oh, I'm up 3 kills, I can never die. No, she lands 1 E with Bork, you are still dead. Very, very fast. Last thing I would note is that I would actually go Ignite in this matchup just because she has so much healing. And you can't really go anti-heal early, so yeah. Jax is actually a very similar matchup to Aurelia. And another lane that I actually find kind of fun. I think it's pretty easier than expected, but maybe it's just because I versed T-Upblade so many times and every other Jax is just a lot worse than him. So it's good to have the best Jax on your server. So this lane is he's a very simple champion. So again, it's kind of like Aurelia, how it's like, oh, you don't want to use your E until this ability. So same thing with this matchup, you don't want to use your E until he uses his Counter-Strike, right? So what he's going to try to do a lot of times is Q and then E on top of you. When he does that, you need to E away. You need to E away. Going early boots is really important for this because of the movement speed. You want to E away, don't get stunned by him, and as long as he's not in Counter-Strike, you should win. If you, for some reason, you can't get away, you can buffer the stun with your ulti. So you're just not really stunned, and then you're ulting at the same time. Or you can W, try to get the shield before you get stunned. But yeah, this is a spacing lane, and all about not taking a lot of damage and being perma-CC'd by his stun. So yeah, early game is actually pretty good for you, because you have tempo, he usually doesn't go tempo. Just bait out his E, as soon as his E is on cooldown, he messes up one time, you E at him, can easily run him down and kill him. Exhaust is also very underrated on this lane too. Jace is definitely one of those lanes that is one of my hardest matchups personally. He can be very annoying, and he has so many different playstyles, so it's really hard to give too much advice because, yeah, he just has so many different runes. I've seen Electrocute, a Lethality Jace, Conquer Jace, Phase Rush Jace, and even this new Grasp Jace where he goes Pure Tank, which I actually do not find too bad for Yone because Yone's good into tanks, right? So I'm kind of glad when they go that compared to like Lethality and they just one-shot you. So if they go Lethality, honestly, going an early Cloth Armor is pretty good, so they don't just one-shot you. But anyways, about his kit, it's you really want to take trades when he's in range form. A lot of people don't know this, but in range form, he doesn't get armor and MR like in melee form. So if you're taking the trades as soon as he goes in ranged, there's a little cooldown in it. So as soon as he goes ranged, again, you want to go in because then he can't use his Thundering Blows, which is his E, to knock you away, and he's squishier. Because when you go on him in melee range, you E third Q, he's just gonna trade back, and then he's just gonna E you away, and it's not gonna be very good. So yeah, try to ideally always take trades when he's in, as soon as he goes range for him. Because if you do it after a little while, he'll just instantly change and he'll be tanky. Other than that, try to bait out his Qs, like walk towards the minions, make him Q onto the wave. It's really forgiving for him. It's a really big radius. And yeah, other than that, you outscale him after like one item. So just try to survive early. And yeah. Kayle is a champion that's very, very easy for Yone. I mean, her early game is awful. We all know Yone's worst time is before 6, and that's when Kayle's worst time is before 6 because she's literally a melee champion. You can easily run her down if she mispositions early game because you have lethal tempo, so keep that in mind. Other than that, you're just always going to stat check her throughout the whole game. She's never stronger than you. Just watch out for her ulti, and the thing that's best about this is that you could easily dive her. You just E third Q onto her after you get a couple items, beat out her ulti, E back, and then just do it again. She won't have ulti for another like 2 minutes. So yeah, you stat check her, you always win. Very easy lane. Oh man, when Karma mid was the most meta champion in the game, it was awful. But I don't really see Karma mid like ever anymore. You still see it sometimes, but it's just not that good. So basically, you just want to try to avoid her third Qs. And after you get level 3, you can use your E to honestly just dodge the empowered Qs. Not third Qs, the empowered Qs. Just because that is where most of her damage is. Other than that, her gank setup is really good. She's going to W you, Q you. And it's really hard to kill her. Her design is basically designed not to die. She'll just E away, snare you, and all that. You should always try to time your third Qs and your ultis while you're getting snared, so you can like get on top of her as she snares you. That's a very like good thing to do. I wouldn't really go anti-heal for the healing. It's not really worth it. And other than that, you can easily ult her because she doesn't really have a gap close, especially when her E is on cooldown. I can't remember the last time I saw a Karthus mid, but if in your elo you see a Karthus mid, is a very good thing. It's basically as easy as the Aurelion Sol lane. I would say it's a little bit harder because if you get hit by every single Q, I guess you can lose the lane. But after level 3, you kind of just stat check him. He can't do anything. He has no escape. He has no CC. So basically, rule of thumb, if a champion doesn't have any escape or CC, they're just a sitting duck for Yone. Because you just E at them, third Q. After a couple backs, you just kill him over and over and over again. So just watch out. Some Karthuses are maniacs and will just all in you with exhaust level 1. Just watch out for that. Don't let him do that, and then you just stat check him. Easy lane. Now we have another easy lane, Kassadin. Kassadin, I think, is only like a really one-trick champion. So sometimes, especially in high elo, this matchup is a little harder than you would think, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's hard. It's just it could be kind of annoying to ever kill him. So what I would say is early on in the lane, you really want to try to freeze on him. So if it's ever pushing onto you and you can get a freeze, it's always important because before level 6, you could easily run him down. He has no way of killing you. After level 6, you don't want to E third Q onto him, just like max range it, because he's always just going to ult away, and he's going to dodge it, right? So ideally, you just want to go for a trade with third Q. If you land it, then auto W. If he uses the ult to dodge that, then you E at him and you can go for a trade. But yeah, don't over dive him. The only way you can really lose this lane is if you try to dive him and he just like gets a lot of ult stacks and just like bursts you down with that. And early game, always use your W on his Qs to reduce poke. I don't know if this is a mental block. Every Katarina player tells you that their champion is the worst champion in the game, but this matchup is definitely a lot harder than people say it is, in my opinion. And I have versed so many Katarinas, even bad ones. The reason why is because she just can get a really fast trade on you, and your E really doesn't even do anything in this matchup, because by the time you try to E to trade back, she'll just E right back to her minion. So obviously don't stand next to the daggers when she throws it down. You're just going to take free damage, and you can't dodge her poke. She's going to Q you on cooldown. My best advice is save your E to E out of her ulti, or you want to use your ulti as she ultis to make her E away, so she stops the ult, right? But yeah, other than that, try to take short trades on her. It's really hard to ever land her an ulti. You can only try to ult her if you know her E is off cooldown, okay? And even if she lands on a dagger, you have a little bit of time because it's not a full reset immediately. So yeah, just really watch out. Don't try to over-aggress and dive her because landing a third Q is fairly hard. Another trick that I have is when you third Q at her, third Q or run at her and then third Q at the dagger spot. A lot of Katarinas will be like really scared. They'll be like, oh, he's third Qing at me. And then you actually predict it and it looks badass. So yeah. Ken is actually another one of those lanes that I really hate as Yone. I don't really see Ken in mid very often, but it's even harder in mid lane. Because in top lane, at least after level 6, you can run him down if he sits next to your turret. But mid lane is such a tiny lane, it can be very rough. So yeah, his early game is really, really hard. He has a lot of harass early, and then when you try to E third Q on him, he's always going to E away. So be very careful with that. Try to just like bait out his E by like third Qing without your E first, or you could do the technique where you E at him. But that's pretty bad too, because he's just going to Q E into you, stun you, and then walk away. Other than that, you kind of need to wait for a gank and try to ult onto him. But when you ult on him, he's just going to press R. So yeah, it's fairly hard. But yeah, just try to survive early. And then after a couple items, you could probably just stat check him, because Kennen doesn't really have a good way of dealing with any MR. So if you could build some early MR after Bork, you could start easily winning against Kennen. So Clyde is a very unique champion where basically if you're taking even trades against him, it's really bad. Like let's say you're finally getting him off his mount, but you lose like half your HP and you can't all in him. It's really bad because you just get to auto minions or like harass you, get Buck out his mount, he's gonna be full HP, and you're gonna be like dead. So just don't do that. Taking even trades against Clyde, not good, not good. Wait for a couple levels, or just go for trades that are one-sided, that you're getting all the damage by hitting third Qs and Ws. Other than that, the way you fundamentally play this lane is his W is the thing where like 3 autos do a lot of damage, and he can't pick when this goes on cooldown. So if he's autoing minions, it's going to go on cooldown, and he has to CS minions, right? So when you want to take trades against him, you need to make sure you see that he wastes his W on minions, and then you go, because it'll lower his damage by a lot. Other than that, when he tries to go on you with EQ, that's when you want to use your E. You want to use the E to dodge the Q, and maybe the E. As long as you dodge one of them, it's good. Yeah, ideally you want to try to save your E build-up damage when he's in his tiny form to all-in him and finally finish it up so he doesn't get his passive. K'Sante is another newer champion. Honestly, I think this is the most broken, overpowered champion they have ever made. But I actually think Yone is fairly good in lane against him, just by how the matchup goes. So basically, this is going to be like a very spacing matchup. You never want to be like in melee range of him at all. And the key takeaway on this lane is that his W, the thing that's kind of like Aurelion W, where he like reduces damage and then he does true damage back at you. So you never want to use your E until that ability is out. Because let's say, for example, you go E third Q onto him. He's instantly going to go W, going to reduce all the damage when you're in your E and you can't dodge the damage. So ideally in this lane, you just want to poke with Qs, Ws for max range. Don't really want to go auto range at all. And then sometimes when you third Q onto him, he's going to use his W. And as soon as you bait out his W, that is when you want to go on him. That is when you want to go on him and take a really long trade in your E. Okay? Other than that, level 6 can be very scary. He can all in you. But make sure it's... again, like, this is why it's a spacing matchup. Because if he can't get into ult range of you, which is, like, basically melee range, he cannot use it. So if you can just, like, kite him out very, very well, you can win the lane that way. And then, yeah, if he uses all of his abilities, he misses, dodges 30 Qs that knock you up, you're just going to win by stat checking him. One last thing to note about this lane is do not stand next to the walls. Let's say you get hit by his third Q, and then he Ws into the wall, and then he ults you. He will bring you to, like, halfway through the lane, through the wall, all the way to, like, his jungle. So just watch out for that. That is a big way to lose the lane. LeBlanc fundamentally is one of the hardest lanes for Yone for sure. This was used to be my permaban. This is like P Zhang's permaban still. Very oppressive champion, very annoying. Basically, if you ever walk up, she's going to QW you. You're going to take all your damage. You want to try to time your early E to dodge her W. So when she QWs, try to E to the side or like behind you to dodge the damage. Because that's where all of her damage comes from. Other than that, you can't really ever ult her because she's always going to dodge with W. So only try to ulti after both of her Ws are down and like she can't blink back to it, you know? When you're going for a trade, you want to be between your minions so she can't get early chain on you. Other than that, you're basically playing to just survive. As long as you're not dying to ganks and you're going even to LeBlanc, you're going to be way stronger than her and just outscale her. I've actually been saying Lissandra mid like a lot. A lot of people pick Lissandra into Yone because they think it's good, but I actually think this matchup is fairly easy. And every single time I verse it, it's just very, very easy, and I just win the game. So basically, the thing with this is like early on, obviously don't stand behind the minions because her Q goes through it, and they actually increased the range like a year ago or something. So has even more range. Watch out for that. Go D shield, obviously. The thing is, if you land the E third Q, she can obviously she's gonna W. But as long as you E third Q onto her, you're going to be in melee range of her anyway, right? So it's fine. It's completely fine to eat the W, because if you're autoing W, you're gonna win the trade early, especially with lethal tempo. So go for those trades. You can't really get away. Other than that, you can always ulti as she's ulting you. Like basically, what she's gonna try to do is E at you and then ult. As soon as she ults you, ult away, because you'll just go through it. So make sure you get the good timing on that. You can also use your E to negate her ulti if you have really, really good timing. So keep that in mind. Other than that, you can E third Q onto her. She can never really dodge it because her E is too slow. And yeah, just watch out for her gank setup. Actually, a fairly easy lane, in my opinion, if you just play the early game. Very, very safe. Lulu is a pick that they actually buffed recently quite a bit, so she is played top and mid sometimes. Very, very rarely. So definitely don't sleep on Lulu. Her early game, especially if she goes to Electrocute or Ahri, can be kind of a lot. So watch out. She'll walk up, auto you, E auto, and you Q you. You're just gonna lose a lot of HP. She is pretty good at Yone because if you E third Q onto her, she's gonna W you and you're gonna lose the trade. So watch out for that. But yeah, later on, your gank setup against her is really good. And I would say the way you play this lane is just third Q onto her. And then when you see her polymorph, then E back and then ult back on. You never want to lead with ulti because she'll always just poly. Looks like a fairly easy to play lane just because her kit is very linear, right? It's a very basic champion. It's kind of like Annie. So her E is the most annoying part about Lux, obviously, because we can't really dodge a spell. It's very, very hard. So early game, to negate as much poke as we can, we're going to use our E's as she E's. So when she E's at you, try to E to the side, dodge it. And then I wouldn't really say walk at her to try to go for a trade because she's just going to Q you. Although her Q's not going to do too much damage. So yeah. And watch out, don't like E back because she can easily detonate the E while you're Eing back. So make sure you're not like your like tether thing isn't between the E. So that's like the most important thing with this lane. Other than that, it's very basic. It's just like dodge the Qs, try to be between minions when you're going on her. And after you get level 6 and a couple backs, anytime she's in ult range, just ult. And as long as you know where the jungle is, you're just gonna run her down, right? Or she has to flash. Now we have Malphite. So Malphite is actually like a common champion that they pick into Yone. I think mostly like autofill people because they're like, oh, my E reduces attack speed. I'm good into anti-auto attackers. But actually, Yone shits on Malphite. Because like, what does this champion even do? Every time he Qs you, you could just press W, negate his Q damage. And yeah, you're just very good into tanks. So the longer the lane goes on, the harder it is for him. Early game, as soon as it pushes towards you, you could easily just all in him, right? But keep in mind that you don't want to use your E until he throws Q, because his Q, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure his Q gives him more movement speed the more movement speed you have, and it's gonna slow you. So you don't want to use your E until he uses Q, because if you use E, he's gonna get a lot of movement speed and just walk away, and you can't catch up to him, right? So try to Q onto him, bait out his Q. As soon as he uses Q and it runs out, then you E onto him. He has no way of getting out, and yeah. Only thing you need to really worry about in this lane is his gank setup after 6. But as this happens, try to just ulti as the ult hits you, so you basically don't get CC'd. Malzahar. So for some reason, I don't know why, low elo hates this champion. As Yasuo and Yone plays, they're like, how do I beat Malzahar? This is the easiest champion to verse. This champion is awful. He's just annoying at 6 because he has ult. But guess what? Later on, after you get Bork, just build a QSS, and he's completely useless. So basically, this lane is he's try not to walk up and take free E's unless you're going for CS. You should never get hit by his Q. You just E it if you really have to. And then his W is just free gold for you. That's why I love this lane. You just W, more gold, right? Ideally, you don't really want to use your E on him until you pop his, I call it a diaper. I don't know, his passive, whatever you want to call it. So how you do this is just third Q at him, W, and then you're going to go for the E. But honestly, once you're farther enough ahead, you can just E and just it doesn't matter if he is passive because you're still going to do damage afterwards. So yeah, very basic lane. You get extra gold for his W and his build QSS. Don't be greedy. Last thing to note is that you can actually use your E. If you time your E insanely well, basically this is just a prediction. It doesn't really have an animation. But if you E as soon as you think he's going to ult you, it will cancel. So that is very OP. Keep that in mind. Maokai is kind of similar to Malphite. Well, I mean, not really. They just kind of look the same. I don't know. One's a tree, one's a rock. But anyways, Maokai is more annoying than Malphite for sure. Just because he has way more sustain than Malphite. He has so much more disengage. He's going to Q you. And yeah. So first thing to note is just do not go near bushes because he's going to put saplings. So saplings get stronger. He has a lot of gank setup. He should never kill you 1v1. But yeah, he has a lot of gank setup. Other than that, do not use your E until he uses his W and Q. Because let's say you use E onto him, right? And he doesn't use his W Q. He's just gonna Q you away, and you're just like, oh shit. and then you try to third Q onto him, and then he W's, right? So you want to make sure you trade with him with their third Q and W, bait out his Q, and then you're gonna want to use your E. Ideally, you want to get out his Q and W. Other than that, when he gets level 6, he's gonna try to just ult you, and if he's really gonna ult you and it's about to hit you, just ult away. And yeah, his gank setup's really good, so just watch out for that. Now into Mel, the newest champ of Season 15 in League of Legends. So when this champ came out, most hated champ in the game, disgusting, so overpowered. But she did get hotfix really fast, so she's actually not that good anymore. And I don't know if the Mels have just been really bad, but I've played against it like 3 times as Yone. It's very boring, but honestly, it feels like she does no damage. So basically, you're going to time your trades. Oh, the biggest thing to keep in mind in this matchup is never, ever E third Q. Because if you E third Q, you're just a sitting duck. So just press W, reflect the tornado back at you, take more damage, and you're just going to knock yourself up, right? So just don't do that. But what you want to do is you're going to time your E's when she Qs the ground behind you or in front of you, on you, whatever. So you're going to E when she Qs, so she has no Q. Then she's going to snare you and just walk away usually. But if she doesn't, then you could try to get like W and Q damage off. But yeah, it's a very boring lane for sure. But after a couple backs and you get level 6, if she's ever like greeting really hard, just lead with ulti. She has nothing to do. Even if she W's the ulti damage, it doesn't matter because it's not going to reflect your ulti back on you. Don't worry, you're not going to ulti yourself. So yeah, just ulti at her if she's ever like greeting and like on your turret, and you just run her down because she doesn't really have anything after that. Mordekaiser is another champion that a lot of low elo people, no offense, bitch about while playing Yone, but this matchup is very good for Yone, just like Garen. So basically, it's just a spacing matchup. The only way you lose this if you're bad at spacing. Don't fight him. He should never proc his passive on you anyway. You're just gonna easily just be in minions to not take as much Q damage because Q does way more damage if you're like isolated. He should never get his passive because he has to apply 3 stacks on you. So never be in auto range. There's no points. Just land like Qs, max range Qs, Ws, all that. And you're going to save your E to dodge his E, obviously. So you're just going to dodge his E, W when he Qs you, or just be in minions, both. And yeah, don't let him auto you. He should never auto you. And after level 6 is the only way you can grief this lane, because let's say you E third Q at him, he'll just instantly ult you, and maybe he'll kill you in the zone, but probably not. One thing to note is that you can actually, it's kind of like Malzahar ult, where as he's ulting you, there is an animation, so this one's actually easier, but as he puts out like his mace, you could press E and get out of his ulti. And I think it might actually put it on cooldown. I'm not too sure. I think there is timing to put it on cooldown, so yeah. Just stat check him, don't just all in him, use your brain, space him, and it's a very, very, very easy matchup. I wasn't going to put this champion on the list, but I actually did versus Morgana yesterday, so why not? I don't really see this champion very, very often. It's, once every a bajillion games, 1,000 games, 5,000 games. Not really a mid laner. She's just gonna press W to like get first strike on you, probably. But yeah, you could just E third Q onto her and just win every single trade. Try to use your E if she ever just randomly Qs at you. I don't think she will. She'll probably just save it for when you go on her. She'll play really safe, but yeah, there's not really any threat here. Only way you die is if there's a gank and you just get queued into ulted. If you're doing that, you're just trolling. I will note that if you are getting ulted by her, you E. Try to E and like run away from her ulti. If you can't, if you time the E back as the ult ends, it's really hard timing. This is a really hard timing on this one. But it will negate the stun. So just keep that in mind. You can't CC her in the black shield with third Q. So just watch out for that. And yeah, very won't see this lane very often, but it's very easy. Naafiri is a champion that I kind of forgot existed. No one really plays this champ, even though it's been out quite a while. I think this lane is very, very free for Yone, but there are some things you need to watch out for. So the main thing with Naafiri is that her Q has like 2 charges, so getting hit by one is completely fine, but you want to save your E to dodge the second one, or the first one, because if you get hit by both, it's going to do a bleed, and that's like all of her damage. So as long as you dodge one of them, you're chilling. Other than that, her W is like point and click, and it just goes onto you. So what you need to know about that is like she can't stop it. So you can easily, if she messes up, just like flash into turret and then ult her. Catch her off guard like that. Lastly, you don't really want to E30Q onto her because she does have a dash. So try to get her dash out, and as soon as she wastes that, then you could use your E and just go crazy on her. Exhaust is also very, very good in this matchup because once she's in there, she can't really get out very easily. Nasa, another one of these lanes that a lot of low elo people struggle with. It's kind of like Garen, but Garen, Nasus, both these champs are very, very easy. As soon as I see a Nasus, I'm just so happy. The lane is very, very easy. So what we want to do in this lane is just it's another spacing lane. The only way you really lose against him is if you like hard engage with your ulti and he just withers you and ults. So basically his early game is really, really weak. He should never be able to auto you. All of his damage comes from his E, which is unavoidable. So you want to try to time your W whenever he uses E, right? But yeah, basically it's just about getting the W out. So the key thing with this is that you don't want to use your E on him until he uses Wither, because if you E, he's going to Wither, and then all of your E damage is kind of wasted. So basically just like third Q at him, W, auto Q, get his Wither out, then kite out, and then when his Wither's down, then you want to E on him. And then obviously when he's level 6 and he runs at you, if anything, just ult out and trade ult is completely fine. Nico is definitely one of those really annoying lanes, kind of like Aurora, where she just kind of sits in a corner, presses E, Q, and you just lose all of your HP. So you need to play the early game very, very safe. Take D shield. Her early game is very OP, so much poke. But yeah, it's very similar to Aurora that you want to wait, or you want to wait to use your E's for when she Qs, because that's how you can easily dodge it. That's where most of her damage comes from. And yeah, try to like sidestep her E. Other than that, really watch out. She might try to like W in the wave, so just count the minions, make sure, so you don't just get ulted and then gank setup, you just die. And other than that, her ult does knock up now, so you need to watch out for that. As you're about to get knocked up, try to time your ulti, so you're in the ult animation as you're getting knocked up, so it doesn't really matter. Orianna is actually a very unique matchup because basically she has two hitboxes. Most champions, you want to be outside of the range of the champion. Let's say you're against Victor, you don't want to be in his Q range, right? Or you're just going to take free damage. Orianna is kind of different because her hitbox that you need to worry about isn't her herself, but it's actually the ball. So you always want to make sure you're not next to the ball, because if you're right next to it, and it's, let's say it's in the wave and you walk into the wave, it's just QW and you can't dodge it. What you want to do instead is, if it's in the middle of the wave, you want to go to the side. Because what this does is that she needs to either pick to push the wave or attack you, and it gives you way more time to E it. So basically, when you're against Orianna, early game is going to be really rough, but after a couple levels, you want to time your E when she Qs, so you don't take any Q damage, and then run at her. The Ornn lane is fairly simple for Yone, because again, he's very good into tanks, although the early game can be a bit rough, so I would go D-Shield and just let it push to you. So the key things that you need to watch out for with Ornn is that most of his damage is in his W, so you want to save your E for when he Ws and then E behind him. As long as you don't get hit by the end of his W and it applies Brittle on you, that is most of his damage. So definitely save your E to do that. Usually what I like to do is third Q at him, bait out the W, and then E behind him so it doesn't apply the Brittle. Other than that, the thing that you need to avoid is when he Qs you and he E's into it, it's going to knock up. So if he ever tries to do that, a good Ornn's not going to do this, but if he Qs, you sit next to the Q and then he E's it, you could also use E to dodge the knock up and then bait him in, and you usually win the fight. After level 6, just watch out for his ulti. Try to time your E back, or your third Q, or your ulti when he knocks you up, because obviously this will buffer the CC and you don't need to worry about it. Pantheon is one of those lanes that a lot of people come to my chat and they're just like, how do I beat Pantheon? This lane is so hard. So what I would say first is always take Bone Plating and Exhaust in this lane, because he's usually always going to take Ignite. They're not going to really take TP, especially when TP is nerfed. But yeah, Exhaust is very good later on in the lane for when he jumps on you, because he's in there, right? So as soon as he jumps on you, you Exhaust, negate a lot of his damage, and you can run him down afterwards. You need to realize that like he's a very bursty champ, but you're going to win in like the all-in, right? So definitely watch out when he has max stats. He'll just W, auto EQ. Usually want to time your E to go behind his E, so you can negate, or he can't negate all the damage. And after level 6, you actually have the advantage, because his ult is more of a roaming tool. So pre-level 6, I would say it's in his favor, but if you can get an all-in after level 6, he's basically down in ability, so definitely use that to your advantage. A lot of people actually find this lane hard, but I actually think it's Yone favored. So you would think like Poppy's a really good champion, like anti-dash champion, but it's not really an issue, because if you play it right, she should never be able to use her W. So obviously you never want to trade with Poppy with like E third Q, like those other lanes, like range lanes. Instead, when you trade with Poppy, you want to E when you don't have your third Q and just auto her. And then she's gonna like panic, use her W, and you're not gonna want a third Q because you're just gonna root yourself and it's gonna be really, really bad. Other than that, with her passive, you always want to stand on it so she doesn't get the shield. Don't stand next to the walls. The only way you lose this lane if you stand next to the walls, because you're just going to lose half your HP. Even one mistake of that will just so lose the lane. With her Q, just don't get hit by the second part of it, and you should win all trades. Her early game is really good, so just go D-Shield, let her push. After a couple items, it becomes unplayable for her. Kiana's actually a matchup that I kind of struggle with a lot. So you already know my permaban is Akali, and Kiana's like kind of similar to the extent that like she's always permanently invisible. Basically, I just really hate champions that go permanent invisible. I find it really cringe and annoying to keep track of. The main thing with Kiana is that her level 1 is really weak, so try to take that as advantage. Just like walk towards her, past the minions, she shouldn't be able to walk up. Her Q does a lot more damage when you're half HP, so if you're half HP, she can easily all in you. She's gonna probably go Ignite, so really watch out for that. If she ever doesn't have her stealth thing, which is like when her thing is green, that's when you want to go on her. Usually you want to E third Q, but don't third Q immediately, wait for her to dash. Do the thing like the Gnar lane where you get your E third Q, you walk at her, make her panic a bit. Once you use her dash, then you can use it. Other than that, don't sit next to the walls, kind of like the Poppy lane, because her ult will stun you and you will just explode. Exhaust is also very good in this lane, and I would always take it. And an early cloth armor is very nice. The Quinn lane honestly isn't too bad. She is a very good champion early game, so you can't really do anything to her early on. But, you know, that's just a range champion. Just go D-shield, second win, tough it out. There's actually a lot of counterplay to her. Let's say when she uses her E, if you time your third Q as she E's you, you could actually go through it. Like, your third Q will just go through it, and then you'll just get onto her, and it's really good. So after a couple backs, when you get some items, use that to your advantage. Also, if you know she's going to E you, if you ult immediately, she can't dodge it because she's locked into animation. So basically, the longer this lane goes, the more unplayable it gets for her, because you have two ways of getting through her E. Renekton has always been a go-to counter for Yone and Yasuo just because his W breaks shields, and he's a very good early game champion. First thing you need to note about Renekton is that he is very strong early game, but his level 1 is actually really bad. And a lot of Renektons will be really stupid and try to aggress on you level 1, but you can just run them down with lethal tempo if they mess up. So definitely keep in mind. He's not really a super strong champion until level 3. After level 3, definitely watch out. If he has Fury and he jumps on you, be very careful because obviously he's just gonna shit on you. And most lanes with Yone W, you want to time it for when you get bursted, but in this lane, you actually want to just like let him W you and save your W, because what his W does is it breaks your shield down and it makes it useless. So you actually want to save the W for after you get stunned, even though it feels really bad, but you're going to get more value out of it that way. But yeah, basically this is just a spacing matchup. You never want to just like let him go onto you. You just want to space him, hit him with like max range third Qs, W, whittle him down, and eventually it becomes unplayable for him after a couple items. Last thing to note is after level 6, you want to try to time your ulti when you get stunned. It's really hard, but you just need to kind of guess when he's going to use it, and then after your ulti, just obviously kite out. Another thing that's really good is taking Ignite or Exhaust can be very good. I wouldn't take TP, try to cheese him with either Exhaust or Ignite. Rengar's a lane I don't really have too much experience with, honestly, because I don't really play top lane and no one really plays Rengar top, but he is a very cheesy champion. If you can get the push and get him under turret and make it so he's not in the bushes, it's really good for you. But yeah, really watch out. His level 1 is very strong. If he does mess up and like over aggresses, I would take Exhaust or Ignite in this matchup, just because if he does troll and fights you to the death level 1, I think having that combat sum is very nice into this lane. But yeah, the longer this lane goes on, the better it is for you. His level 6 doesn't really help him in the all-in. So yeah, definitely just W when you know he's going to jump on you. Dodge his E's. That's his only poke damage. And yeah, the longer this goes on, easier it gets, especially after level 6. And go early cloth armor if you really think you need it. Riven has been one of my biggest mental blocks in the top lane for sure, but it definitely comes down to who the Riven player is. Anyone below, like, Challenger is not going to be very good at Riven, so it'll be a lot easier. But yeah, the thing that you need to know is that this is a spacing matchup again. So if you're ever like in auto range of Riven and she just is allowed to auto or E, auto QW, you're going to lose all your HP and you're just going to get bursted down really hard. So never be in that range. Basically what you want to do in this lane is third Q at her without your E, try to get her E out, and then when she's like going on top of you, then you want to try to all in her. Another thing you want to do is ulti when she third Qs onto you, because she's locked into that animation or guarantee you land ulti on her. And I would honestly take Exhaust into this lane, because if she uses her burst and you exhaust through it, you're gonna win the long battle. Rumble is definitely another annoying champion. A common theme is every champion that starts with R is very strong and very annoying. So yeah. But honestly, Yone is one of the better champions, and I think after all the nerfs that Rumble's received, this lane is actually the easiest it's been in quite a while. So things that you need to know is that obviously D-Shield is very important. He's just going to try to EQ you. The early game's going to be really rough. You want to let him push. And the biggest thing is you don't want to all in him when he, or you don't want to auto battle when he gets overheated. Because a lot of people think, oh, he can't use spells, but that is when he's his strongest, actually. If he's using his Q to overheat, you're getting hit by his Q and you're getting hit by his overheat auto. So the best time to actually all in this champion is when his overheat is like about to run out, because he can't use abilities and he's going to be not in the danger zone. So he's going to be the weakest. So definitely try to plan your all-ins after level 6 when he overheats. Like, try to bait him to overheat, and then when he's getting out of his overheat, then you ult on him, and it's really, really easy. But yeah, other than that, just W when he's queuing at you, and try your best to just like get some damage off early when his W is off cooldown or on cooldown. Rise is just one of those generic Yone versus range lanes where, like, obviously the early game is going to be a little rough. He's going to get pushed on you. But honestly, as far as range champions go, I don't really find him to be a big deal because, again, he doesn't really have any mobility, doesn't have any dashes, which is very good for Yone, especially after level 6. I will note that after level 6, he will try to ulti away. So try to time your third Q or your ulti on his ulti, because if you CC him when he's trying to ult away, it will cancel. So definitely keep that in mind. Other than that, just don't play too aggressive early game, and after a couple levels, get some all-ins. Very easy lane. I haven't really seen anyone play Seraphine mid in very, very long, but if you're versing a Seraphine mid, don't be scared. This is the easiest lane in the game. Basically, every single all-in, you're just going to win. Just time your E's to like dodge either her E when she throws out or her Q. Very easy lane. If someone's playing Seraphine mid, they are probably a filled support main, so it is just a free win. Set is also another champion that a lot of people hate, I would say. Basically, all these lanes that are very like space heavy, Juggernauts, everyone hates, because if you're bad at spacing, if you're lower elo, you're probably bad at spacing, you're just gonna get shit on because you need to play the matchup a lot better than they need to play the matchup. So yeah, basically, if you're ever in an auto attack battle, you're losing, so make sure to max range your third Qs, Ws, whittle him down like that. He should never be able to get onto you. If he Qs at you, don't put yourself between him and your minions, or you're going to get stunned. It's going to be really bad. The best place to, the best way to take trades against him is especially when you see him outside of the minion wave, because you don't need to worry about getting hit by his E, because it's not going to stun you because he doesn't have minions, right? Other than that, the more damage you do to him, his W is going to do a lot of damage. So never get hit by the middle of his W. If you do, you're trolling. The only way he could ever hit this on you is if he stuns you. So yeah, don't E third Q onto him in a minion wave. He'll stun you, land the W, and you're going to lose all your HP. Last thing to note, you can actually bait out his ulti. If you're fighting him to the death in your E, and you think you're going to get ulted, if you E back, he'll just do his ult. It'll go on cooldown too, and it won't do any damage to you, and he'll just go flying. So it's a really funny interaction. Shen is honestly one of the hardest, if not the hardest, tank lane for Yone. Yone is really good into tanks, but Shen's kit is very good into Yone because his taunt and his W makes it so you can't auto-attack him. So basically in this lane, you want to never E third Q at him, because obviously he'll just W, negate all your damage, and negating all your E damage, which is really, really bad. So early on, if he tries to dash at you, you want to respond with E. Your reaction time must be really good at this, because his dash is pretty fast, and if you're like really close to them, it's hard to dodge it. So yeah, definitely save your E to dodge that. Other than that, you want to third Q at him later on and make him use his W. After you make him use his W, then you want to chase him with E. Last thing you need to know is that this matchup gets easier and easier because he doesn't have an ultimate. So after level 6, you're a whole ability on him. So keep that in mind. That's why his early game is very, very strong, especially if he takes Ignite. That's when you need to be really scared. And last thing to note is that if you get hit by his Q, like if you're between the sword and him, and the sword goes through you, his autos will do even more damage. So let's watch out for that. So Singe is a very easy lane, but he's probably just going to proxy on you. Proxy means he's going to sit behind your turret and just like kill the minions, and it's going to be no interaction, and you're just going to farm it out, which is really good because free farming a zone 8 is just good. But if he doesn't do that, the only thing you really need to be wary of is just don't like chase him, because you're just going to eat the poison, take free damage. And if you're too close to his turret, he might try to W on his turret, flash EU, and then you take tower aggro, you get stunned. That's basically the only way you can really die in this lane. There are some interactions that you need to keep in mind, is that when he flings you, if you third Q, your third Q will go through the fling. So that's really, really useful. And it mispositions you, or repositions you. So when you're ulti, instead of, let's say he's running at you and you want to ult him, you actually want to ult backwards, because he's going to fling you, and then you ult right back into him. So keep that in mind. It is very, very important. Sion is by far one of the easiest lanes for Yone. Basically, all of your abilities kind of just counter his. If he's charging up his Q, that is when you want to use your E. Dodge it. He should never be able to hit you. His W only does damage after a certain point if the shield is still active, but as soon as you see him use the W, you could easily just get the shield off him very easily. Only thing you need to watch out for is if they go pure lethality like the boss, where if they're just sitting in a bush and just holding down Q and you're not aware of it, you could just lose half your HP heals you just explode. Skarner is another very easy tank lane. I don't really see Skarner's top very often, but I do see it sometimes. Basically, the only way you can really die in this lane is if you get too close to his turret, and then be really careful because he might try to like E you into the turret. So basically, if he's like, you're in his face, even if he's like you're behind him, I think it still works. But he could just easily drag you in and then ult you into the turret and you just explode. So other than that, basically you kind of just win every single trade against him. Just space him easily. He should never be able to auto attack you, and just watch out for his rocks. And yeah, that's about it. So Smolder is actually a really interesting lane. They use this as a counter in pro play. So a lot of people try to pick it into solo queue, but in solo queue, I honestly think it is terrible for Smolder. So obviously the early game is going to be pretty bad. He's just going to auto attack you Q. It's basically versing a ranged AD carry. So he is weak early game, but he still does win early, obviously. Because if you try to go on him, he'll just fly away, all of that. This matchup gets a lot easier at level 6 because he doesn't have enough time to fly out of your ulti. So if he's ever in ult range, you're always landed. He won't have enough time to E because there's a little bit of delay on it. Other than that, don't be tilted. The only way you can really lose this lane is to get really tilted seeing his stacks go up and just like over aggress and just die. So again, like he's a ranged AD carry. You're not going to win early, but after a couple backs, he can't really lane against you. You just ult him off cooldown. Swain is a fairly easy matchup for Yone. The later this goes on, the harder it is for him. The early game, you just need to really watch out. They actually buff Swain's E. It goes a lot faster now, so it is harder to dodge. So honestly, you can use your early E's to dodge his E's when he tries to hit you for CS. But yeah, the best thing to do early is just try to like go in and out. Like when you're going for a minion, try to like bait out his E, and then just like go backwards to just bait it out real fast. But yeah, if you get hit by it, you're gonna guarantee get hit by the W and Q, and you're gonna take a lot of damage. So the key point in this lane is just don't get hit by his E. After a certain amount of time, you just outscale him, unplayable for him. So the Silas thing is very interesting. Sometimes it can be really, really hard, and sometimes it just feels impossible. So I think it's actually pretty easy when you versus Silas that goes like teleport and D shield, or teleport and conquer. But it's really hard when they go like ignite electrocute, because there's so many times where I'll just dodge the second part of his E, dodge everything, hold his auto W, and I'll lose all my HP from electrocute and ignite. So if he's going that, just really watch out and just play safe, go D shields. If not, he's going conquer. This matchup isn't too bad. Just make sure to save your E for when he uses E to like dash into your minions, so the second part doesn't land. And then quickly walk out of the second part of his Q, and yeah, eventually this lane will be very easy. Later on, you will outscale him. But yeah, early on, he does have a lot more sustain. So if you're taking even trades, it's actually really bad because he'll just spam W, has a lot more sustain on you. So yeah, be very careful. I would personally go D shield just because I think it's a little easier, and also ignite. Syndra is one of these annoying range lanes that you can't really do anything early. It's very stalemate, but later on it gets a lot easier because she doesn't have a dash, and after level 6 you just ult her off cooldown, and she either has to flash or she kind of just dies. So yeah, the thing that you need to watch out for early game is time your trades when she Qs you, but don't Q at her, because if you Q at her, she'll QE and you're not going to dodge it. So when you see her QE, you want to E to the either behind you or to the side to dodge the stun. And then you run at her and try to get as much trading power as you can. But honestly, Syndra with the rework, she's a lot weaker early game. So she's probably just gonna like farm stacks on you. That's about it. She shouldn't really ever kill you. And yeah, after level 6, it becomes a lot easier for you. And there is one trick. If you can't dodge the stun, you could time your third Q as you're getting stunned, and you'll actually go through it and can actually knock her up. So keep that in mind. It can be very useful. Now, this is a very low elo Terror champ, Tahm Kench. I think the Tahm Kench matchup is pretty unlosable because he can't land Q on you as long as you go inside your minions, and he should never be able to auto you. You should just be it's just another spacing matchup, kind of like Garen. So yeah, you're just gonna like third Q him, max range W, Q him, walk away, and if he tries to dash on you, that's when you just use your E. Or if he's trying to Q you, like walks past the minions, you could E past the Q, walk into your minions, W, and then E back. You always just want to like make sure you have third Q when you come back from your E, because if he's just like autoing you, you just always want to be kiting him basically. But yeah, the lane isn't really too bad. Also, if he tries to eat you and you ult at the same time, you're like ult inside of him and it will always hit him because you're literally inside of him. Talia is just another one of those like basic range lanes. It's going to be a little bit annoying early game. And the thing that you need to watch out for, you don't really want to E third Q, because if you E third Q, you're just gonna get stunned by the rocks always. So what I like to do actually is if she tries to W, you E out of the way, or if she's just like her Q's off cooldown, you want to E without your third Q because she's gonna throw the rocks, but then she can't stun you afterwards, right? Or you can just do it really fast and get the stun off before the E lands and all that. But yeah, after level 6, it just gets easier because she's down a whole spell. Just ult her, she can't really dodge it because she doesn't have a dash. It's just one of those lanes. So Talon has definitely gotten some buffs, and this champion is just like pure cheese champion. So really watch out for like his double W's level 2 or level 1, where like if you get hit by the second part, it's gonna hurt a lot. So make sure you don't get hit by that. His level 2 is probably the strongest level 2 in the video game. So if you get hit by his double W and he Qs at you, you're basically dead. So really watch out for level 2. After level 3, this matchup becomes very easier because the reason why his level 2 is so strong is because his E literally doesn't do damage, right? So that's where all of his power is. He should never apply his passive on you without being level 6 first, because the way this plays out level 3 is that he throws the W, and then you want to save your E to dodge that part of the W. So you E behind him as it's like about, or E to the side as the second part of the W is about to hit. And then you should win the trade. I would take Exhaust in this lane because Exhaust is how you counter like the really cheesy level 2 kills that he goes for you. So take Exhaust, don't get snowballed on. This lane just gets easier and easier. Very unplayable for him. You can go an early Cloth Armor too because it's probably going to go lethality, and as long as you're not getting one shot, you will win every single time. The Teemo champ can be very annoying. Again, it's like an 80 carry lane, so the early game is going to be really rough. D-Shield, you get a lot of value because he's a dot champion, and dots are very good with D-Shield. Another lane that's really important to take Red Trinket with because you don't want to just like walk into his traps, and clearing those is really, really important. The thing to keep in mind is that even when you get Blinded Dart, you could still, your Qs will still do damage. So your autos won't, but when he blinding darts, don't panic and they'll be like, oh, I just had the E back. You could still get your W and Q damage off. So keep that in mind. This lane gets easier and easier. After Bork, you could kind of just run him down. You can ult him, but you gotta like catch him off guard because it's pretty hard. He's really, really fast. So if you miss this, you ult, you miss, you're probably dead. Tristana's not really too bad of a lane anymore. She used to be the best mid laner in the game a couple patches ago, but she's definitely a lot more tame now. So yeah, it's a basic 80 carry lane where you're going to lose early game. You go D-Shield, second win. Honestly, you could go bone plating into this lane just because it makes it so she has to auto you before she could just jump on you. So bone plating can be good if you use it well and you don't let her just easily poke it off you. Exhaust is also very good because it's a hard counter to Tristana. She jumps in, she gets exhausted, she does no damage. Another thing to keep in mind is when she ults you, if you ult at the same time, you won't go anywhere and you'll always hit her, right? Because it hits you right back, but you could just ult back in, it won't CC you. So just keep that in mind. Play the early game really, really safe. And if she jumps on you, you can actually E forward so she can't land on you, get your third Q, and then E back, and then third Q out. Up next, we have Tryndamere, which is just another spacing lane. This lane could actually be pretty annoying because if you mess up one single time, you're just going to get run down. Sometimes they take Go, sometimes they take Ignite. It really depends on the Tryndamere player. But yeah, this matchup, basically when he throws or when he E's into you, that's when you want to time your W, block some of the E damage. And as soon as this happens, you just want to kite him. You want to be in your E, you want to run away from him. You don't want to just be in an auto attack battle. If you're in an auto attack battle, that is the way you lose. So you want to always be spacing him. He E's in, you W, then you E out. Get your third Q back. Basically, you either want to be in your E or having your third Q. Just always spacing. And then obviously, when he has his ulti, you could either just delay this by ulting him or just get out and kite him. It's all about kiting. Trundle is a very, very similar lane to Tahm Kench. So a lot of lower elo players are like, how do I win this lane? But this is pretty unlosable as Yone. It's just pure on spacing. You should never be just getting auto-attacked by Trundle. If you are, you're trolling. Easily just space him. If he tries to like W and then E at you, that's when you want to use your E away, kite him, get your third Q out. It's just all about kiting, and then as soon as you get ulted, just run away. You do not want to fight him when you're ulted. Twisted of Fate is a fairly easy lane. He's just kind of annoying because he'll always just try to stun you. The biggest thing in this lane is that if you time your E, let's say he just has really good gank setup. He'll never kill you 1v1, but people always try to gank Twisted Fate because he's a point-and-click stun. So if you're really good, you got to practice his timing. But if you E when he throws the stun card at you, as soon as you E back as it collides with you, you actually completely cleanse the stun. It's kind of like wind walling his stun card. It's just a lot harder to do. But if you can get in the habit of always doing it, it makes this matchup so much easier. But yeah, he is a little fast, so just watch out for that. And then when you're E3rd queuing, just try to do it when he like hasn't picked his card yet, so you can get some damage off, so he doesn't just like instantly gold card you. Other than that, after level 6, it just gets even easier because he's down in ability, and he's probably just gonna like keep killing your team, so just don't get tilted when he gets free kills. I know the spacing lane, but Udyr is honestly a monstrosity. I don't want to say that word. Disgusting laner. I hate this champion. Basically, just gonna run at you, and if you are literally in melee range even for a second, he is going to just kill you so fast. Just never be melee range. Just always try to take like the third Qs. max range third Q, W, kite it out. When he runs at you, E away, get your third Q, E back, third Q away. It's all about just spacing again. Very hard lane, and killing the champion is pretty much impossible. Urgot is a very one-dimensional champion. I actually don't think this lane is very hard, but the thing that you need to watch out for is that his level 1 is actually extremely strong. A lot of Urgots are just gonna like walk at you like through the wave, and do not walk near him. You just gotta let the lane push, because if you walk near him, he's just gonna eat you, flip you over, and you're just gonna take so much damage. His level 1 is really, really strong, so just watch out for that. The later this lane goes on, the easier it gets. So basically, this lane, you never want to E third Q. If you E third Q, he's always going to be able to, since you're chained or locked in animation, will always like flip you, and you're just going to take so much damage, you're going to get stunned. It's really, really bad. So the way you play this lane is actually you want to max range your third Q, and he either has to eat it, and you just keep doing that, whittle him down with third Qs, W, or that's when he uses W. If he uses W there, he's trolling. Because if he does that, then that's when you E back, because then it's E's down, and then you ult back at him. So let's say you don't go with E third Q. You just E at him, auto Q, auto, and then as soon as you see him get a shield, that's when you E back, and then you ult back into him. That's how I play this lane. The longer it goes, the easier this lane gets. Vladimir could definitely be a tricky lane early game, especially if they try to go Ignite to kill you. But later on, as you get Bork, this lane becomes fairly unplayable for him. So basically, this lane is just all about seeing his red bar fill up, which is his Q. If his bar is ever red, do not go into Q range, because if you get into Q range, he's going to heal even more, and you're going to take so much damage. So as long as you're not getting hit by those Qs, you shouldn't lose enough HP for it to matter. And other than that, it's just a very even lane, and if he ever messes up... So basically, the premise of this lane is just get your third Q, you E third Q, and he's forced to W. And you just keep doing that back and forth, trying to get as much CS as you can, and the more backs that go by, the better this lane gets for you. If you ever have your third Q and he gets in the third Q range, you can actually like land this on him without using the E and then chase him down. This is if he like mispositions, right? And then if you keep chasing him, then he Ws, and then you could save your E for after his W wears off. That's how you can kill him. But this is only if he messes up early game. Vayne is another solo laner that's really, really annoying early. It's a range 80 carry lane, as always, like Ezreal Lucian. It's going to be really rough early game. The thing that's annoying about her is that she has a lot of mobility, and then up to level 6, she has invisibility, which could be very, very annoying. The things to note with this lane is that when she goes for the stun, if you actually time your third Q as she stuns you with her E, you won't get propelled back, and you will go right onto her. So this could actually be really, really important early game. Other than that, you want to do the tactic of just E, instead of E third Qing max range, you don't want to do this because she's just going to Q away, and then she's going to kite you. So you want to use the E movement speed to your advantage, force her to be like melee range of you, and then land the third Q on her. Veigar is a fairly easy lane, just like Aurelion Sol. He's just so weak early game, he can't really punish you. The thing that can be kind of annoying is that he's gonna farm a lot of stacks, and you can't really be too aggressive early because you're playing Yone. So you just get to watch him stack, just don't tilt. Lane is fairly easy. The thing that you need to note is that when you E back through his cage, is that it's not gonna stop you at the cage. You're still gonna go through it. You will get stunned, but you don't stop it at like most other dashes. Other than that, after level 6, you could actually ult through the cage because your ult isn't a dash, it's a blink. So blinks go through his E. Watch out for that, and just every time he's in ult range, just ult him. He has to flash or he's dead. I feel like I've actually had a couple people come to my chat and say like Vel'Koz is annoying for them. It's just because you underestimate him. The champion is like almost never played because I don't think he's really that strong. But yeah, he's just like any other artillery poke mage, kind of like Xerath. So if you just get hit by literally every skill shot, you are going to die eventually. So it's just a dodgeball lane. Dodge his Q, don't be in his W for too long because it has 2 parts of damage, and then basically you just want to save your E to either dodge his Q or his E. This lane, as soon as you get level 6, if he's ever in ult range, you just easily ult him. He will, if he's a really good Vel'Koz, he'll time the E, like he'll E where your ult's gonna be, but it doesn't really matter. And after ult, you just E onto him and just chase him down. He has to flash or he's dead. I don't know if this is still the case, but last time I checked, this is actually the lowest win rate in the game for Yone, matchup or statistic wise. I don't really think this makes it the hardest matchup. It's just a very boring matchup. Basically, against the Vex, you can't really do anything. If you ever try to go on her and she hold on to her ability, she's just gonna W, you're gonna eat everything, so really watch out for that. The key part to this lane is you always want to save your E for when she uses her E. She'll either try to aim her Q at you to like hit the fear or the E. Usually they lead with E, so as soon as you see the E, that is when they're trolling, and that's when you want to E forward, dodge it, and then run at them. You hit with W, auto, and that's when you get your trades in. It's all about patience. If they're not doing that, then just don't cast any ability, just farm. If they do that, that's when you punish. I don't really see Viego solo lane too often. He's more of a jungler, but they do play him mid and top sometimes. So this lane's actually a bit trickier. It's actually kind of hard, in my opinion, just because his Q range is a lot longer than your Q range, and his auto, like his fast trades are really, really strong. Just Q auto, W auto, and you lose like half your HP. So you really need to watch out. You want to be between your minions whenever fighting him, because his W does not go through minions. So keep that in mind. That's the only way you can really dodge it. Another thing to keep in mind is that his E, he's gonna try to like E on the side to look like he's roaming, but watch out. Sometimes they just stay in the stealth, and then if you try to follow the roam, they just jump at you and you lose all of your HP and you can actually die here. So really watch out. After level 6, his ulti can be a little scary, but you should always either save your flash or you should try to ult at the same time when he's ulting you. So Victor used to be one of the easiest matchups in the game for Yone, but ever since Arcane came out, Season 2, they kind of just buffed all of his abilities and the stun is now faster. So this champion is still... I honestly don't think this lane is too hard, but level 1, you really need to watch out. Like, they're going to go Shield Bash, and just if you walk up and he Q autos you, you're going to lose like 200 health just from level 1. So really watch out. Try to give some CS. You don't really want to just get hit by the Q auto. And if you do get in Q range, then back up, wait for the auto to run out, and then you can go back and for CSing. Other than that, his E is pretty much undodgeable. It's not really up for you to dodge. Maybe if you anticipate it, you can like E to the side to try to dodge it. Other than that, the way this plays out later on is that you get your third Q, you E third Q onto him, he's forced to W, get as much damage as you can, and make sure to E back before he gets stunned. And then if he plays aggressive after that with no W, you can easily ult onto him because he has no dashes, no W, and that's how you kill him. Volibear is honestly kind of an insane champion. I would say he's even stronger than Renekton early game. So the things that you need to watch out for with Volibear is you always want to save your E for when he tries to use his E on you, which is the thing that comes out of the sky. So the thing with this is that he's going to lift his arm up, and then after the delay, it's going to go on. So what they try to do with this is they use it first, and they stun you on it. So as he's about to stun you, that's when you want to E, because that's going to let you dodge his E damage. And other than that, his W has 2 procs, or the second W when the first W is on you is going to do a lot more damage. So if he Ws you once, it's like whatever, but you want to kite out and take short trades against him and make sure you're spacing him properly. Because if he gets the second W damage, he heals a lot and does so much damage. So really watch out for that. And on level 6, if his jungler comes, he can easily die because his ult does stop turrets. So really watch out for that and don't rely on your turret. So Warwick is another one of these lanes that's just all about spacing. If you're ever in melee range of him and just an auto attack battle, you're going to lose. It's really, really bad. He has infinite sustain on you. So just really do not get baited when he's low, especially when they go barrier, which almost every single good Warwick is going to go barrier. So the thing is, you just want to land some max range third Qs, Ws, whittle him down. But again, he has infinite sustain, so it's a little hard. You can't really ever go into auto attack range of him. Other than that, his E is the scariest part. That's the CC. So you're going to want to try to get his E out ideally, and then after he uses E, that's when you're going to want to use your E. So don't use your E, because if you E third Q and he has it, he's just going to press E, have all that damage reduction, waste your E, and it's going to feel really, really bad. Other than that, if you time your E correctly when he ults you, you can cancel his ulti, so keep that in mind. I don't really have too much experience in the Wukong matchup because I don't really play top lane. I don't really see him top lane. He's mostly a jungler, but if you do see him top or mid, he's basically just a stat check champion. He's like a bruiser version of Malphite. All of his abilities are kind of point and click, so you can't really dodge anything. So basically just like play really safe. His level 1 is really, really strong. I would take Exhaust in this matchup just because a lot of the damage is unavoidable, and maybe go in early Cloth Armor, but he does have built-in armor pen, so I don't know if it's really worth it. But yeah, basically in this lane, you just want to try to hit him with like their max range third Qs, Ws, whittle him down, and then go in for a kill after he's low. I would say Xerath is a fairly easy lane for Yone, although I have seen people complain about it being like, oh, he just pokes me down. But yeah, basically it's just a skill issue. This whole lane is just about dodging all of his skill shots. Honestly, I think this is even easier than Vel'Koz. But yeah, but these shields second win, even if you get hit by almost everything, he can never really kill you. So you're kind of just chilling. Dodge as much as you can. Early boots is really, really important because he's just all skill shots. Basically, what you want to do is when you're E third queuing at him, even if he lands the E, you could just eat it because the closer you are, the less the stun is. So yeah, you just eat the stun. Doesn't really matter. You get unstunned and you can just easily kill him. If he ever gets into ulti range, which he really shouldn't because he has so much range, just ult him. He has to flash or he's just dead. So Yasuo is a matchup that I used to think was like an even skill matchup, but not anymore. I think Yasuo got too many early game buffs, and this is very, very Yasuo favored in my opinion. So basically, how this thing goes is level 1, you need to completely concede because Yasuo is just a better champion than Yone level 1. That's a given. He's just basically you, but has more attack speed and he has a shield. So yeah, definitely concede level 1. Just let it push into you. It's not worth it. Even level 2, I wouldn't really fight him. He's just a stronger version of you. Anytime he tries to E onto you, just W in advance because he's going to E onto you, get the shield, and then just get as many autos as you can while you're backing away. Bone plating is very, very important in this matchup too. After level 3, you can actually start winning. The way this matchup plays out is that you need to pop his shield. Basically, these are the conditions that you need to have in order to trade with him. You need to pop off his shield, and you need to be in your E. If he has no shield when you start the trade and you're in your E, this is how you win the trade. Although when you E at him, he's going to be really annoying and try to like E away to like minions, but early on, it's a 0.5-second cooldown. So with this matchup, you just need to be really, really patient with your Qs and just follow his E movement. As soon as he E's something, then you can Q, because he can't just keep Eing all the time and dodging everything. So that's how you play this matchup. Exhaust is also very good in this matchup. York is a matchup that I really have no experience in because no one plays it in high elo. But yeah, I know this is a low elo champ that a lot of people hate. Basically, it's just a skill check. The only way he does a lot of damage to you is if he lands his E, which is the thing that he throws the mist at you. So when you see him throw the mist, you just need to be really quick and time your E to dodge it. As long as you sidestep his E with your E, you're just going to win every single trade. Other than that, I mean, getting out of his wall thing is really easy. You can just auto it if you don't have third Q, but you can just third Q, ult out of it, all that. I will say you need to be a little careful when he gets level 6 because when he has the queen thingy, he does do a lot of damage, especially if he lands the E. So just watch out. Again, it's all in the E. That's what you need to be careful of. Other than that, his little like ghoul things, he can only get them after he Qs the minions. So if you can actually fight him before he gets his minions out, you're going to automatically win the fight. Zed is honestly a really annoying matchup in my opinion. I don't like versing this champion, although I don't think it's that hard. Zed is fairly weak this season, so basically the things that you need to know is that he's always going to be sitting on turret. You never want to E third Q onto him, because if you do that, he's just going to W away. You're going to be in his shadow, which will guarantee he lands the E and Q. So never do that. The way you want to do this is if he ever like mispositions, you want to E third Q onto him, get out his W, and then if he uses the W, then you can use your E to finally get a trade on him. But good Zeds are never going to do this. They're just going to sit on turret. So basically, you want to worry about just getting CS, getting vision, and like roaming. Because every Zed just plays like a complete pussy. Mind my language, but I hate this champion a lot. So when he tries to W at you, that's when you want to use your E. So you want to E to the side, and then dodge his shurikens with your movement speed, and then you go on top of him. That's how you play this lane. Also to note, if he ever tries to ult you, you can ult to dodge his ult. Ziggs is a very basic lane. It's just like the Xerath plus Vel'Koz lane. It's just about dodging the Qs. Don't stand next to your minions because the Q has a way bigger radius if it's next to minions because it explodes. So yeah, just don't sit in your minions. It's going to guarantee he lands the Q. Otherwise, you should be able to easily just move out of the way. He will try to WQ a lot, but if he ever tries to WQ to guarantee like the Q damage, that is when you can actually go on him. But yeah, the way you play this lane is just you just farm it out. Just try to dodge as much as you can. If you try to E3 Q onto him, he's just going to retaliate with W. Just do that until you drain all of his mana. But yeah, it's basically just a farm lane. If he's ever in ult range, that's when you just want to ult because he can't W in time. He's gonna try to W. That's when you want to be like stay to the right of him so you could like follow him when he tries to jump away, right? Then you E at him and then you could easily kill him. Zillion is a very basic lane. Basically, his only harass tool is his Q. So as long as you dodge his Qs, you're chilling. There is a way that you can't dodge it. Well, he'll just like Q W Q himself, which will stun you. I think it does less damage since only one Q is technically hitting you. So just watch out. He has a guaranteed stun if you're next to him. So that's the only thing you really need to watch out for. Other than that, with his ulti, you should actually try to like get him to bait out his ult and then don't finish him off, ideally. Because if you do this, then he doesn't get full HP. And yeah, just a really boring lane, but very easy. He should never kill you. And yeah, you should have perma Briar later on. So the Zoe lane is honestly a lane that every Zoe player just says is like hard Yone winning. But honestly, I don't really think this is the case. Later on, yes, but early game, this can be really, really hard. Because if you miss position and get hit by 1 E when you don't have E, you're going to lose half your HP. Another thing to note, really good Zoe players will do, if you ever E third Q onto a Zoe, before and they still have their E, some of them will try to like walk behind you and put the E on the spot that your body is, right? So if you ever see them doing this, quickly E back before this happens. Because if you do this, you're gonna E back, get hit by the sleep, and then you're probably gonna die, get hit by a Q, and lose all of your HP. And the last thing we have to talk about is Zyra. So Zyra is a very basic champion. You're not really going to see her mid lane. You're going to see her more support or jungle. But yeah, she's very basic. Her Q you should never really get hit by. It's very hard to get hit by. The sapling damage you can't really dodge, at least like the first auto of it, then you just run out of range. But yeah, you can kill the plants, get extra gold. If you do see seedlings on the ground, you can step on them, but watch out. If you try to do this and she's like too close to you, she could easily try to like snare you when you're going to do that, and that's when you want to use your E to dodge that and then go for a trade, because as soon as she misses her E, she has nothing left and you just kill her. After level 6, if she's ever in ult range, just ult her. Just watch out to make sure to know where the jungler is, because you don't want to ult her, get guaranteed hit by the E, then the ulti, jungler's there, and you're dead.